He deserved it though. Sumagiri chased someone for like a Nippatsumo Paimon. Yeah, hello.
Hello. Words.
Testing.
Speaking.
Yay. Content. Pog. Max. Yoshi. LPY. Me.
Tell Quincy to stop doing that. Jesus, Quincy. Hey. Whoever
LPI,
asked you that was, hey.
LPO, I hope he loses. I have not personally. I have not seen Quincy like cause any issues on my end, but it may be the stream.
No, yeah, Quincy's hand was in front of the camera for a couple seconds. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Dora forfeit. 3-pin, good tile. That is. I'm assuming that's Julian and Matai then. That's so like in character.
It'd be really funny if like someone like had like the tie and like the shirt and everything, but did the whole like COVID thing of like having like sweatpant bottoms or shorts or something.
Yeah, I wear pajamas to work like half the time. I have
Nice.
so many pajama bottoms. And it's like at a certain point, they're just the easiest things to like reuse. Okay. I'm actually not watching your stream anymore. I just like I have the
Yeah,
Ninja
I'm
videos
also
open.
on the Ninja sources. So
Yeah.
if you want to, yeah, save the bandwidth.
Yeah. And like worst
Um,
case, if like something goes wrong, I can ask Wes to like or like one of me or Wes can share to the other if we need to see if that like stays. Since we're at least like off site. Yeah. Just
yeah, we're gonna
yeah.
watch the Ninja links.
Or I mean
Oh, could you just message me or Ray and because we'll get a ping. Or we could probably yeah. Okay. I guess that means we should just start straight in.
yeah,
'Cause
just like
these
give us like a 5-4-3 before we're going live, and then we can just like give it a few beats. Alright. Got it. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another session of NOMI League, New York City's premier in-person Mahjong League. My name is Max, otherwise known as Light Pink Yoshi. I am here live or here casting from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I am joined by Wes.
Hello. Today is going to be a wonderful match between the Yakumen, the Queens Mahjong Triad, the Destroyers, and the Emperor Penguins.
Got it. And it looks like all four teams are sending out some very strong players tonight. So we have Quincy, Eric, Julian, and Pio representing their respective teams. Personally, I have not met Quincy yet, but I'm very familiar with the other three, and they're all very experienced, very strong players in their own right.
Yeah, all of these players are very strong and experienced, but today, Quincy and Pio are really going to look to put their team back higher on the scoreboard. Meanwhile, the Eric with the Queen's Mahjong Triad is sitting in first place, and the Destroyers kind of top middle of the table, but they've been holding their own.
Got it, got it. And it looks like we're getting into the first hand here. Dora has been flipped as 4-pin as the players are organizing their tiles. It looks like it's going to be Julian his first deal. Remember, did he draw his tile? Always step one.
It looks
Didn't
like he
actually
did.
see it, but yeah, it looks like he did because there's one tile missing from the wall. Initial thoughts on the hand. Julian's hand looks quite nice, from what we can see. Potential for a 7-8-9 Sanchoku maybe in there, has the E sitting there. Also has a Dora pair. So really would just like to look for anything to speed that hand up, pick up a nice 2 Dora. Pio's
Pio's
hand is
hand also
yeah.
looks very strong. Possible flush or half flush hand.
Yeah, not the
Uh,
easiest to see from our angle, but it looks like he does have the red 5 on as well as that 4-pin sitting in a confirmed shape.
oh,
Does take the 1-pin palm. We'll see what he wants to do. It looks like this is going to be a push for
but
a
he
Genie 2 then with the red
cuts
5
the
cut.
red 5 mine, yeah.
Yeah, because once you palm the 1-pin, you can't really do anything besides go Genie 2. Because there's obviously no more Tanya. Man, this is so difficult. I've never commentated live Mahjong before, but this is quite interesting. Eric's hand looks like it's actually already Ishanten, but it's not the easiest Ishanten to hit. Only the 7 So Penchant and the 5-8 Mon. Can't really expect him to take the Tenpai if he draws the 5, or take the Riichi if he draws the 5-8 Mon. But we will see. And lastly, the hand that we haven't
Playing
looked
the
at,
6
Quincy.
though.
Yeah, 6-0 does help. Maybe he can potentially make this into an Itsu of some form. Maybe
Julian
shave
picks up
down
a
that 3
second.
Mon Anko. Oh, but Julian has paired up the second East there.
Yep.
Now has lots of options. Oh, and Quincy's gonna open. Looking like he's going for the Autozuke on the west. Yes, he is the west seat. So we're just gonna go for the west only, but has acceptance for Dora and an easy way to use any of the red 5s. Eric's sitting here just debating whether or not he wants to feed Pio any more Genie 2 tiles, but kind of has to for me, Shanten. Now Julian has an interesting choice. Has 4 pairs in hand. Yeah, just gonna go ahead and cut the worst block. Once really just looking to palm the east and then leave himself good tiles to palm afterward, like the south. Though there is already one discarded that we see in Eric's pond. A 1-so drawn for Eric that does leave a few more options. Now will be Tenpai on 5-so and 7-so, so has essentially Ryan-kan, Ryan-men, Ishan-ten.
Quincy drawing the last 1-pin. Hand
Yeah.
getting even closer to Tenpai.
Oh, sorry, I think that's Pio drawing
Pio,
the
yes.
yeah, the 1-pin. It's showing the discipline does not con it immediately because he knows that it can contribute to his shape potentially, especially if he palms that 7-pin. And it looks like Eric is not too keen on feeding anything around the door into the Chinitsu, holds onto the red 5-pin. I think I commentated his Armor games last night, and he fed a Dora 5-mon exactly into a no overflow Chinitsu for a Hanemon.
Knowing the way Eric plays, though, he's can be quite defensive. So
Oh
looks
yeah,
like
for
that
sure.
might stay in that
Yeah,
hand for
and it looks
quite a
like
while.
yeah, it looks like he's already hedging towards it. I can't imagine that 5-pin ever coming out, and even that North may not come out unless he's given reason to cut it. This PO is not the North seat, but could contribute to a Honi 2 in the Dora suit. Not something you really want to do. Looks like Wes has found his, or sorry, not you're Wes. I'm good at names. Quincy has found his way to Ishanten as well. Still needs to find that West, of which there has been one discarded. Julian just kind of still sitting there, really trying to find that East, but just not quite getting both Julian and Pio kind of being blocked off, not finding any other calls. So I think those Easts are just live. We just no one's drawn them.
That's unfortunate for Julia not having drawn, but he draws the 6-pin here, which makes him have a little bit of an interesting decision.
Yeah, it's now Ishanten for Chitoy, but you can't really Menholm Chitoy this. Decides he doesn't want it. Decides to play just towards still being able to pull him down, and with the South already being one cut, I can see how that makes sense. It does feel bad to say no to Ishanten when you have two Dora in hand, but at the same time, the hand's going to be quite expensive no matter what if he gets it together.
Eric drawing the 5-so.
Yeah, switches that
Red
up at the 2,
5-so.
so makes sense. Now Eric has again, a fairly reasonable Ishanten, which is not willing to push that red 5-pin, really trying to force acceptance around that door and not willing to give it to the potential Shinitsu. Which that Shinitsu is, I believe, Ishanten. Yeah, Pio can palm the 7-pin and be Tenpai on the 1-2 pin, which having already palmed the 1 pin would just be a 2 pin. But it's definitely getting late enough in the hand that I think everyone's on alert. The only one who might push tiles is Julian because Julian's hand is also quite nice. Yeah, and fills the 8
Yeah, I
pin in.
agree.
Fills the 8 pin in for Julian, so he might. Yeah, that's Ishanten for him as well. But we might see the 6 pin come out, which may be callable. It's always a little bit hard to tell.
Eric trying another 5-so.
Yeah, Eric is
All kind of telling him what to do.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Julian
that's
draws into the
Tenpai.
other.
That's Tenpai. Oh, he can take the he can take a Shabo here on the 4 pin, 9 pin. Potentially get someone with the Sushi Trap. Might even want to stay Dama. But 6 pin Riichi feels very strong here as well. Just gonna stay Dama. Alright, so Tenpai for 12k. We also have in other places we also have Quincy Tenpai. Just needing the last West for 1000 points, but Tenpai is Tenpai. Especially when you can lock down a 12,000 point hand. He does Chief at 6 pin though, does not get into Tenpai, and he keeps that 1 pin around just for the calling out, just in case. Oh, the 9 pin gets pushed. It's gonna be the Dama 12,000. Double tone Dora 2, dealer Mangan. Now the one thing I was afraid of forgetting, which has now been like kind of forced into my head, was that this league plays with big Homba.
Yes,
Which
we've seen Big Humba do very nasty things at this table. Oh, I think the other week we got to 4 repeats, and
and at that
that
point,
that can do
like
some serious damage to someone's score.
yeah, and obviously you see like 6,000 points in the middle. You really want to push, but at the same time, it's like you're also dealing in an extra 6k. It's not like when it's just Riichi 6 in the middle and you can kind of push with with minimal risk. So we'll definitely see if the Homo get racked up, how people decide to play around that. Having this league having been going on for a couple of weeks, and New York being home to a lot of people that enjoy playing big combo, I'm sure they've all fairly experienced with the rules already.
And Julian doing the viewers at home a big favor by putting out a Humba stick for us, even though there is an indicator on your screen and there's an indicator on the table. Thank you,
Yes,
Julian.
it does make our life a lot easier. Julian's hand is actually not bad as well. How's the Dora in hand? We do see the Dora is 6-so. Can palm the Chun, can potentially get another double east. To his right, Pio's hand it's a little bit hard to read in its current state, but he also has a Dora. Looks like it could potentially be like a 4-5-6 Shoku with a Mantu shape. Looks like it's pretty good. Looks like it could just go towards like a Tanyao, something like that.
But also has one of the easts. And Julian
Yes.
seeing that east might cut his later on. We'll see.
Yeah, there's not really anything that you wanna discard in Julian's hand besides the east. So I imagine it'll come out as soon as he draws any progress. Unless that
Eric's
progress is
hand,
another east.
Eric's hand though is also shaping up very nicely.
Oh, Eric is already Tenpai. Huh. He's gotta disorganize a little bit to throw us off, but he is already Tenpai. It's only Ipeko on the 5-mon Kanchan, but it is Tenpai with a Yaku. Oh, the Chun doesn't get pulled by Julian. I wonder if he either just missed it or if he's just trying to play this for a little bit more value. See, Aaron draws the 8-pin. Could have, like, in some worlds, dreamed of Ryanpeko there, played 9-pin and broken his Tenpai. But I think he's just kind of sitting around trying to wait for a Pinfu or something that he feels comfortable reaching. He
Yeah.
can also draw 6-pin and get Tanyao, which would be quite nice for him as well. And then Quincy is the last hand we haven't talked about, but is also actually in a really nice Ishanten. Has 2 Dora in hand that are the 6-0 obviously confirmed being used, but the red 5-mon probably going to be used, and a potential Ishanten for 4-5-6 Sanshoku as well.
Julian drawing the 3rd red, kind of getting the hand up to a better shape and saving that east tile for a rainy day.
Yeah, that east tile is going to be very useful in case anything ever becomes dangerous. All right, Quincy draws a 4-pin and just switches out the one in his hand, giving the illusion of progress. Which is always like a nice little thing you can do. You never you don't want to do it too much because then people can catch on. But you know, if especially with a player like Eric at the table who you know is actively tracking information like that, anything you can do to throw them off a little bit in terms of their read on what you're doing will help you in the long run. Eric though is kind of sitting there, still no improvement for his Tenpai, and no one has dealt in just yet. It doesn't look like 5-mon is really eager to come out from anyone's hand either. The absolute tragedy here, though, is if Quincy draws like 2-pin or 6-mon, is he's just going to slam the Riichi on the red, and it's going to deal right in. Maybe Eric's draws the Dora. It's an interesting decision point for Eric because you have to throw it back to keep your Tenpai, or to keep your hand in a rollable state. So I think you just kind of have to.
Yeah.
That 8-0 quite nice for Pio. I believe that's now Ishanten for him as well. Needs to find a pair or fill in for the 3-4 pin around them. Or actually, yeah. Yeah, he does need to find a pair. That's an Anko of 7-mon that we can just barely see. So it's very difficult to keep track of how many tiles are available for some of these weights. But we are trying our best. Everyone playing this hand super closed. All right, this is the first opportunity Eric's had to change the weight up. Yeah, it's gonna just jam the Riichi. Suji trapped, but Riichi tile Sujis. We'll see if anyone wants to mess around with it. Oh, wall gets knocked over. It happens. Not much you can do about it. What is that tile from Julian? Was that the 6-0? Yeah, the 6-0
It's the
Dora.
6-0.
Yeah, 6-0 Dora. So it looks like Julian is just kind of gonna principally fold, take his dealer Mangan, and then try to
Oh,
pass his deal in first place.
Eric also did discard the 6-0 earlier.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. He's just folding with the 6-0. Can also fold the Chunonko, but maybe wants to save that for someone potentially chasing. Getting out his more live tiles first is just generally good defense if you think you only have to defend a 1 player. So that way, when you have to defend a 2 players, you have safer tiles like these Chuns in hand. Let's see. Looking at players' hands, I don't know exactly on discards, but I only see 1 3-mon being held by anyone. Or sorry, 2 3-mons. There's 1 in Pio's hand and 1 in Julian's hand. So there should be 2
Alright.
tiles in the wall for Eric to sumo.
Yeah, I don't see any 3 months in discard.
Let's see. Will Quincy decide to push here? Does decide to push the 5-pin. It is Nakasuji. I think that makes sense. Because his hand is still quite nice. We still have the potential for 5-6 Sanshoku that he could maybe open for. And we also just have 2 Dora or like 2 Ryanmen in hand. Like that's just it's very reasonable to push to fight with a hand like this. And 2 Mons like doesn't look very good, of course. That's the tile that Quincy would have to push. But it does like, lots of tiles don't look good. Io also has been able to maintain his Ishanten. So I believe.
Oh, Quincy just drawing the 3-mon there. Big for Eric, potentially.
Oh yeah, because this is definitely a tile you can convince yourself to push. It looks like it will be the discard. Yep, he's going to be the one. Well, we see Ura at the moment. It's just Riichi Peiko for 2,600 plus the Homba.
No hit on the era, but
No, got the would have hit the Ura on the 6-mon, but probably would not have won the hand if he kept the 6-mon in hand. So he'll take his 4,100 points there. He will move on. Definitely a very rough start here for Quincy. Dealing into Dama 12k on a random 9-pin, not really something you could have expected. And then I think that 3-mon's a very reasonable push with that Ishanten. It just didn't happen to work out for him.
but if any single player gets any momentum going, we can bring that back with the big Homba.
Yeah, of course. But, to get for those Homba to rack up, someone has to be winning those points as well. So you gotta dodge sumos while also having someone rack up those Homba for you. Better to just rack up the Homba yourself, really.
How do you feel about these players' starting hands so far?
Starting hands looks like so Pio is our deal. He's got the 4-5-6 and Sozu. Looks like our door is the 7-pin, so he doesn't have any in hand, but he does have an easy acceptance with the 6-pin. The Monzu shape also looks pretty good. So Pio's hand looks like it's gonna try to move quickly towards like a Riichi Pinfu. Maybe he gets a Dora filled in, something like that. Julian's hand kind of just looks like a mess, if I'm honest. Lots of trash that needs to be cut before this hand can be anywhere close. I think, that's a fantastic fill for Eric. Already Ishanten already, actually. Or no, not quite Ishanten. I believe Ryan Shanten for Eric. Eric has had some pretty quick hands already. He was 10-5 before we even looked at him last hand. But and that's probably the best draw you could have gotten, honestly. It did not translate to value last hand, but 4,100 points is nothing to scoff at. And Quincy's hands, sorry, looks fairly interesting, but it's not a. There's too many things kind of trying to do. There's too much stuff trying to happen that's just not really likely for it all to happen. It does have the Dora sitting in hand. We'll see, but I think Eric's definitely the strong favorite to hit Tempai first with his hand. Does so now, actually. Can just take Tanpin Dora. Assuming this is going to be a turn. Yeah, easy Riichi. Waiting on 4-7, so. I think the only one who's got any chance of fighting this is probably Pio. But there's so little information that we might just see some aggressive discards just because, you don't have anything safe anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to respect an early Riichi.
Yeah, though in this case it's
Sometimes.
at least a Mangan. I forget. Is there does Mangan get rounded up in your rules or is it 430?
I'm pretty sure we round up, but
So
we
this
can always double check.
Yeah, this hand would be if there's no roundup, this hand is a minimum 7-7. But I imagine it's probably roundup. If someone deals in, we'll find out because I'm sure Eric knows. Yeah, looking for a 4-7, so we can take a quick glance. Eric has one in his hand. It's part of his shape. So does Quincy. So does and then we see Julian and Pio with 1-4 so each. So there actually Quincy has 2. So there's actually only 3-7 so available for Eric to get. But the 4-so is not necessarily contributing right now towards Quincy's hand. So if he gets anything to fight with, it might come out. And he does have 2 Dora again. Should be another tragedy. See here. Pio plays the 6-mon out. I believe that's a tile that already passed. Yeah, it's a tile that Eric has already drawn. 2-mon. Everyone just kind of naturally folding. Not really a whole lot going on. Quincy with 2 door could like feasibly fight potential for like Tanya or even like 3 door if Eric ever draws and discards one. I believe that was an 8-month push from
So it was
Julian.
an 8-man.
Yeah, an 8-month
Uh,
push from Julian. Just really nothing better to work with. Yeah. Quincy decided, I've already dealt in twice. Maybe let's try to fold with the 8-month pair. Though I think playing aggressively for Tanya is definitely something that could have happened. But it's a lot of tiles you got to make pass, and they don't have the luxury of knowing that they do pass. It's easy to advocate for push. It's easy to advocate pushing when you've got the eye in the sky.
yeah. Also, Eric's discard's not really giving anyone that much information, so
Yeah, the only tile that even creates a Suji that he's discarded so far is, well, now he's discarded the 4-mon, but the 6-mon was the only Suji created tile. And even then, like, you just dealt into 6-mon Suji. How much do you really want to trust it? Huh. Have we seen any of those 7-so be drawn, by the way? I know the 4-so is dead, but I don't see. I think there's still 3 in the wall. I don't see any of them sitting in Pio or Julian's hand.
the 7 one?
The 7-so.
7 so, yeah,
Yeah.
I believe I don't see any.
Yeah, Quincy has the 1, but he's had that since the Riichi. So I don't think actually a single one of Eric's tiles has been drawn since it's Riichi. Oh, there it is. Never mind. We jinxed it. Now this is a very difficult decision for Quincy. It's like everything looks absolutely terrible. Because you don't really want to like cut the 9-pin pair because it deals into like Dora shapes. Obviously, you can't cut the 7-pin because it's Dora. Uh, it looks like 8-so is going to be the play. It's behind the 2 7-so, and you have 3 of them. I think it's a very reasonable tiebreaker to make. When everything's terrible, might as well pick the one that gets you the most time. And also the hand, maintains Chitoi. So if some of these tiles become pushable, like it is Chitoi Ryan Shanten. It's technically possible, though probably unlikely at this point. Yeah, two 7-so left for Eric to get then. Or no, sorry, 1 7-so left for Eric to get as Quincy drew another one while I wasn't looking. It seems like a typical Eric luck when I watch him play. Get a good hand and just like watch it waste away. This isn't Tenpai for Pio, is it? No. It's just
No,
I'm
P is
wondering
just
what
taking on.
yeah, I'm wondering what the hesitation here is, because the 8-so's already passed. So I said push the 7-mon. Not quite sure what he sees. Maybe I guess
I maybe Pio's
I
looking
mean, he's
for a
Ishanten, but
second.
even if you're pushing, the 8-so is a better Ishanten. Like cutting the 8-so leaves you with a better Ishanten. Maybe he just like lost his mind for a second. Just like put the 8-so on top of his hand and then didn't see that it was in his hand. Either way, doesn't get punished. Now we're back with Quincy making hard decisions. Though in this case, I think West and 1-pin are both fairly reasonable choices. With the 1-pin becoming Suji and the West just being generally okay. Though it is a little bit suspicious that it
Only one
hasn't
has
been
been
discarded by
cut.
anyone. Yeah, there goes the 1-pin. Oh, and there goes Eric. See?
Eric confirming.
Yep. See, Quincy just knew. He saw the future, one turn in advance. Now Julian has to make a tough choice. This is what happens when you get a hand that like everyone has to fold for so long. Eventually, you just run out of tiles that the Riichi doesn't give them to you. Luckily, he does have the South pair. But Julian is also Ishanten himself. Certainly not a very wide Ishanten, but technically actually achievable. There is a 7-pin to be found to fill that shape. Yeah, and there's going to be the West. Quincy just not drawing anything remotely safe. Sitting on 2 Onkos, a Dora pair, and a bunch of light tiles. Julian's putting that into his hand. No, didn't quite fill the 7-pin, but now has an even wider Ishanten, and the 8-pin is Genbutsu. We could see Julian keep Tenpai here and add one of those Humbo. Add one of those Humbo that are a big deal. I saw Eric check that Haku. Is there Shiropochi in this?
I don't believe so, but
I don't believe so either. I feel like I would have that'd be something I'd remember. But it would be amusing at the very least. Pio deciding whether or not he wants to call this to Tenpai and decides against it. Would have to push the red 5 on, I believe. Yeah, just bails out. Or maybe he was counting the oh my gosh, no, Quincy. Quincy somehow has an entire hand of just absolutely awful tiles. I have no idea what I would discard here. This is so hard.
yeah, none of these tiles look good.
Yeah, everything looks terrible. I guess maybe like you try like one chance 9 pin because now you see 3 of the Dora. But like you're definitely a little bit sussed out by the fact that no one's cut a 9 pin.
I'm pretty sure Quincy's kind of thinking about the 3-pin and how his teammate has cut a 3-pin and it always comes back to him.
Yeah.
But
That is gonna be the 3 pin that does get discarded.
it's safe.
Dodges the Haite. Eric is the only one Tenpai, but we do add a Humba. So Eric picks up a net 3,000 point swing on everyone. Only plus 2,000 points for himself personally because he loses the Riichi stick. But now all of a sudden, 2,500 points in the middle. Quincy's dealer turn. Definitely something where he would like to make something happen here. But just from first glance, this hand does not look like it. If when you say you want to make something happen, you mean Kokoshi, then this is a reasonable hand, but not really anything else to be done, or at least like nothing good to be done. Though the red 5 pin obviously does help as a first draw. Eric without 5-star
Koshi or
draw.
Nagashi.
Oh, true. I forgot that Nagashi is on. I'll have to keep that in mind because they have it on in the Virginia tournament, or the DC tournament as well. Eric with a hand that looks like it could be a quick Tanyao. 7-pin Dora nowhere to be seen in either of Quincy or Eric's hands. Not Julian's hand either, though he does have an East pair. And Pio is. I'm leaning over in my own chair trying to get a better angle on Pio's hand.
Pio's hand is looking like a half flush of Sozu.
Yeah, it looks quite nice.
Just has that straight 8-mon.
Yeah, and Phil
gets rid of it.
So yeah, Phil's the 3-so, which is probably the best draw he could have got, or one of the best draws he could have gotten there. The sad part for Pio, if you're Pio though, is that neither the West nor the South is your win.
Though
so you got
Pio
the
is
only 2 wins. Yeah, you got the only 2 Wests that aren't points for you. Sorry, who was Ishanten?
Pio.
Is Pio Ishanten? I don't think it's quite Ishanten. I think you just get rid of the
Does he have 2 3-sos?
I think I want to say it's 1, 2, 3, 4-so, and then 6, 7, 9-so. I think that's a 9-so on the end, not an 8-so.
I see.
Though now it is Ishanten regardless. I think he can get Honitsu Itsu with filling a 5-so and an 8-so. If Pio would line his tiles up, it would make our lives a lot easier. Oh my gosh, he draws the red 5-so! Are you kidding me? So Pio's just like casually Dama, Menhon, Itsu, Aka on turn 4. I'm pretty sure that's a 1-so hidden behind that other South, right?
Yes, that is definitely a 1-so. Yeah. Pretty sure the wall is hearing us, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? Alright, so we're at the 8-so. Julian has 1, Quincy has 2. Doesn't look like either player is going to be cutting them, but Pio can also upgrade this weight very easily. Quincy definitely not in a position where that 8-so really is going to get discarded. The fastest thing that he can really do is go for a Tanyao, so he'd be looking to pawn it, actually. Though Eric's hand also kind of looking like it could potentially fight here. I think that's 4 pairs in hand and also fills in a nice block. We'll see what Eric decides to do. I think personally I'd play the 2-pin. Want to hedge the Chitoy options. But also leave myself as... Yeah.
I agree with cutting the 2-pin. Drawing the 5-pin just fills out that 4, 5, 6 shape.
Yeah, I think 5 mon is like technically the most efficient, but I think I would rather just play this for 5 strong blocks and keep Chitoy alive. See, we see a 7 mon draw here for Julian. Oh no, is that the Sozu? Oh, he's cutting the Sozu Penchant. Oh no. Oh no. Julian, no. The next time Julian draws anything, that 8 is gonna come right out.
Eric
Ooh,
trying another 5-pin.
yeah, not really a backfire on Chitoy because you're quite happy still to see this 5-pin. Um, interesting. I'm not sure what the 2-pin is really doing in the hand at this point. Oh, and that's gonna be the 8 so deal in. Oh, that's so gross. This is one of those like you mess up knocking down your hand because like you're so excited about your hand. That's gonna be 12,000 plus the Homba and Pio picking up the Riichi stick from last round. That's gonna be a massive point swing. Getting that directly off of first place as well.
The players just figuring out their scores here, making sure we
Yep.
get everything right.
Yeah, making sure that Itsu men home Dora 1 is in fact 6, which it is. 3 for the men home, men being closed, 2 for the Itsu, and 1 for the Aka. That Aka fill was just absolutely disgusting. Like we're sitting there as like, is this what we think it is? And then he draws like the actual god tile. Pio, a noted war criminal, but that's Mahjong. I'm sure we'll see other similarly ridiculous hands along the way. But that does take us to East 4, right? Yeah, it does take us
Correct.
to East 4 because we had Julian as our first dealer. Now we have Eric. Starting from the dealer. Eric's hand's not actually terrible. It doesn't look like it has a ton of ways to get potential value, but there's like an outside chance at a 1-2-3 Sanshoku that you wouldn't really consider, but the 1-mon's Dora, so you kind of want to. Julian's hand already with a confirmed Ipeko. Potential looking like it could have some easy upgrades as well. Nice potential Tanyaos. Pio's hand has 2 Dora in it, but none of the shapes seem particularly strong. And Quincy's hand, just trying to find anything at the moment. It looks like 3 pairs, I think. Yeah, 3
Yeah, I
pairs.
see 3 pairs.
Just looks like a very normal Pinfu hand, but would love to find a red 5 somewhere. Because Riichi Pinfu does not get you out of the hole that you find yourself in at this point, needing 15,000 points just to catch up with third place. And having your deal skipped, like seeing the 8-so come out, Quincy's probably a little bit happy last turn because he had immediately moved opponent, seeing that he needed to get like Tanya out anything, pick up the extra Homba points to reach stick, add a Dora to the hand, anything. But the Pon, of course, superseded by Rom. No, can't really do anything about that one.
Pio drawing the form on there, just considering his options for a little bit. As
Yeah,
QC discards the East Wind. Eric
yeah.
completing his 1-2-3 Mon shape.
Oh wow, yeah. I
Looks
kind
a
of
little
like I didn't really expect 1-2-3 Mon Sanchoku to be a potential thing, or 1-2-3 Sanchoku to be a potential thing when I mentioned it. But all Eric really needs for it is to find a pair that isn't the Tuso, and it's possible. But I'm sure Eric's also quite happy for Ishanten for Riichi Pin Fudora, especially with 2 top quality weights with a 1-4 pin and 6-9 pin. So looking at the pawn, the 1 pin and 9 pin's already 2 cut, and the 1 pin has been cut once. Oh, but just get Tenpai. Easy.
just get Tempai.
Just draw the tiles you want. I don't know why people think Mahjong is hard. Just draw the tiles you want. So Julian's got two of those 4 pin in his hand. Does not see. Oh no, PO. PO no.
Oh,
PO's absolutely nothing in hand too. That 1 pin's like the worst tile. Maybe you can try 8 pin for Sotogawa, or playing behind the early 7 pin from Eric. I think that would be my overall play here. Yeah, looks like PO does find that, but I like if nothing better becomes available, that 1 pin seems quite dangerous. So anyway, while this goes on, I don't believe we have had the pleasure of speaking before, Wes. How How did you find your way to Riichi NOMI?
I found my way to Riichi through Anime NYC within the last year.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, I saw. I've been kind of around the Discord forever, but I saw quite a few people coming in around that time, so it's like very exciting. Growth of Mahjong always very, 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 very happy for everyone involved. We love this game a little bit too much.
yeah, and Anime NYC was a great way to grow the club. And if you see anyone looking at a score sheet, those are usually on the back of our lovely business cards that have a scoring chart on the back.
I'll have to pick up one of those business cards when I'm in. I'll be in town for the Juneteenth tournament. Absolutely, I've already booked my flight actually. Oh, and that is going to be Tempai for Julian. In other news, waiting Riichi Tanyao Pinfu Ipeko on waiting on the 5-8. So we've got Riichi Pinfu Dora as dealer versus guaranteed manga for Julian. We'll see how these players react because it's never particularly easy to. Oh, okay, no, that's the wrong 5. I saw Eric draw a 5. I was like, oh no. But no, it is not the correct 5 to deal in Nippatsu. Interestingly, though, what we don't see happen here, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Open Riichi is on for this.
Yes, Open Riichi is on. Julian does not follow. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Julian doesn't follow up though with an Open Riichi, but we do need to be careful of Open Riichi.
Yeah, because
Open
I
Riichi plus
think,
Big Hamba, very scary.
yeah, it's obviously quite difficult to say like whether or not that's incorrect. One, like not a ton of people have experience with Open Riichi and how it like works. But as a chasing Riichi, you'll see a lot of people open when it's on, just because someone is guaranteed has to fight you because they're already reaching. And I think there it might have actually been fairly beneficial because it would have taken the Han on the hand from 4 Han to 5, so it becomes a sumo Hanuman even without Uradora, and a Ron Hanuman if you get Ipatsu or Uradora. Though it does make Pio and Julian's job significantly easier, or sorry, Pio and Quincy's job significantly easier to defend. So maybe just deciding,
Quincy
maybe,
catching Eric very quickly with making sure Eric does not discard before draw.
yep, good sportsmanship. We love to see it. I believe, by the way, that Eric did not hit Uradora that last hand, so it was just Riichi Pinfu Sumodora. Missed out on some points there. So not like the 420 hand, not the full Mangan, but still a lot of points going to Eric. Gets his takes his first place back from Pio, who had previously sniped it with that nice Menholm Haneman. Hands here are quite nice looking. I believe that is looking like a 6-mon is the Dora indicator, correct? So we've got
That's
7-mon Dora.
correct.
Yep, 7-mon Dora. Quincy's hand, I think for once, finally looks like the best hand, though Julian's hand certainly looks interesting. The problem with interesting Mahjong hands is that usually interesting doesn't really equate to good.
That's quite true.
Yeah, it's
Although it does look like Julian discarded the 4-mon and still has a 5-mon in hand.
yeah, played the
So
Forso first. I think looking for either Kokoshi or Chanta, I think very reasonable plays, especially with the 7-mon Dora being usable. Oh, and now with the South draw, I think we're gonna be seeing we might see some fireworks here with some calls from Julian. Could even high roll a Suiso in some worlds, though Quincy sitting there with the West pair is going to be quite difficult to work around unless he decides to go for a Tanya. That East is looking pretty loose in Pio's hand, and Eric's hand doesn't have any useless honors, so you would expect him to play them when he gets them. Oh yeah, that's gonna be the pawn and the Dora cut. That's the table should be quite worried about what's going on. Though I think for right now I would just be thinking about Honitsu, just given that the order of the discards. Which is probably why Julian's discarding that way, avoiding cutting Pinzu for as long as possible.
Eric having a think over this red dragon.
Yeah, sees the East Palm and the suspicious discards and is like, all right, am I prepared for what happens if Julian palms this Shun? Decides he is. It's always a little bit iffy because Eric is in first place, but if you give Julian too many tiles, you're looking at eating a pretty significant dealer penalty if he doesn't end up sumoing the hand. Quincy's still just sitting Ryansha on 10, by the way. Potential for like a 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku even. Or just filling in the 6-0 would be ideal for him at this point. Just get the Aka shape confirmed and just get that one step closer to Tenpai. Especially when you see Julian throwing out so many middle tiles, you kind of have to think like, if he decides to fight me, I'm pretty likely he's going to deal in. 2-pin draw. It's not really going to do a whole lot besides make you sad when you look at your discards and see 2, 1, 3, 2-pin.
Yeah, Team Yakumen has not had a lot of luck with the Pinzu.
Yeah. It's been a rough game so far, and I haven't had the opportunity to watch the rest of the season. But if you're saying that it's been a recurring theme, then maybe they got to start playing a little bit of cult.
Yeah.
Pio's hand, by the way, looks like it could be quite good. I think it's Ryan. No, I think it's Ishanten. Or sorry, no, it's Ryan Shanten. But also has a potential for 3, 4, 5 or 4, 5, 6 Sanshoku. Assuming I'm reading that Sozu shape correctly, is 3, 4, 5, 6 though? Again, hard to tell. If someone could tell Pio to line his tiles up in a straight line, it would make our lives
I
so much
believe
easier.
that's 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Unless there's something between the 3 and the 4. Which doesn't look like there is.
Sure. I'll
So.
just yell at Pio in his GM type of the game. Ooh, that is an upgrade for Quincy. It makes the 5, 6, 7 Sanchoku significantly more likely as well. Ooh, Eric with a shift towards Tanyao is Ishanten himself. For now, it would be Tanpin Dora with a potential Peiko. I imagine we'll see Eric Dama if he does happen to draw the 3-pin. Take the 12K or the 11,600 point Dama, which does round up to 12K.
Julian drawing the 7-pin, completing that 7, 8, 9 shape.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be honing to Chanta. Though Julian is the north seat? No, Julian is the south seat. So Julian can get it up to a Mahjong. If only the directions in Mahjong made sense. Let's see, looking at the pond, I don't see any. Oh no, there was one south discarded, and obviously Quincy's kind of sitting here with no interest in cutting the west. Goes ahead and plays the 7-pin. Wants to keep hold of that 8-so acceptance. Personally, I think maybe I would have leaned a little bit more towards playing the 9-so, because you're not super happy with this hand if you don't have the Aka with it. Right. Another 3-pin comes out. Makes Eric C. Peiko a little bit harder to find. The Pio does decide to cheat, going for the open Sanshoku Dora 1. Could also just not guarantee to be Tanyao, but can be Tanyao if he gets the 6-pin to fill in to the 7, 8-pin there that's sitting in his hand. And just sitting on that Hatsu as a safe-ish tile. So if Julian draws correctly, that might be punished.
I mean, we could always learn from Eric last hand. Just draw good tiles, right?
True. Just draw the tiles you want. The problem is everyone else is drawing the tiles that Julian wants. Oh, well, that was a change. Okay, yeah. Fills him the 6-pin. Definitely going to make his hand significantly better in terms of acceptance on Julian's end, but it does not look like that last salve is still around, but gonna need some good draws to get that to Tenpai. It's gonna be the Chi for Eric. Once his Tenpai pushes the 2-so in, does not feels like Pio may be danger with the open on the good shape, and so Pio or Eric decides that he cannot wait around any longer. Especially is there 1 or 2 Homba on the board?
1 Homba.
One Homba.
And
Right.
does that put Pio in Ishanta? Or Tenpai, rather?
That does put Pio in Tenpai. There is no Sanshoku though, so he cannot win on the 9-pin. 8-pin does not get called. That would technically advance Julian's hand, but it'd be quite awkward. You'd have to call it as either a 6-7 or a 7-9, which would leave you only accepting the 7 that you just called. or that you just called out of your hand, and then you still wouldn't be tenpai.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that. Not making that call from Julian.
yeah.
I like the 6, 7, 8, 9 shape a lot better.
So Pio has upgrades on both sides of the Monzu, by the way. He can get Sanshoku if he draws the 3 Mon, and Dora if he draws the 7 Mon. Does get the Sanshoku, so now Pio can roam someone on the 9 pin. Hard to imagine we'll see the Pinzu coming out at this point from anyone but Julian. Though Eric might push just because Eric is Tenpai as well and is the dealer. But dealing in is also like not your favorite thing here when it's worth an extra 1,500 points, unless you've got good reason, which Eric does. He's Tenpai for Tanya Eldora. There's going to be an 8 Mon from Pio. So yeah, so we've got 6 9 pin versus 3 6 pin. Is there head bump in this, by the way, or is it double run? I imagine it's double run.
I believe it's double run. Yes, it's double run. But Julian has the 2 white dragons, which one of the white dragons looks like it's free in Quincy's hand, but also does
Yeah.
look sus,
Yeah, it
considering none have
seems.
been discarded.
Oh, the thing was though, if Julian was dealing in no matter what if he got Tenpai, because he had to either cut 6 pin or 9 pin, and if he greeted the Chanta, it would have been a double run, which would have been quite bad. Looks like Eric did pull in the Sumo though. It's going to be 1,000 points all plus the Homba, which is 1,500 points all. Now there's a nice 3K sitting in the middle.
Big Humba. Gotta love it.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm coming around on it a little bit, but I don't particularly enjoy playing it. I find the mid ground of 900 to be a more enjoyable experience. But you know, like not my league. Ooh, Julian's hand looks quite nice. Oh, and that's South
It's
Dora
also
as
the Doras,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so doesn't even need it. Please. Oh, that is a 9. So first discard on one of my screens. It looks like a Haku.
Yeah. Drawing the 6 show, completing his filling out the 6, 6, 7 shape. Not my favorite, but gives you more options.
Yeah, Eric's hand also looks quite nice, though not as nice as Julian's, but has the potential for the Pinzu Itsu, as well as just generally good floating tiles. Oh, and the Akka gets filled in for Julian as well. Okay, so he's also Chitoi Shanten now. Julian's hand is just kind of wild. Like,
Do
I
you,
mean, if you could fed Chitoi Tenpai, like you take it, but I'm definitely willing to just like pawn or cheat anything here if I'm Julian.
that
Lot of
answers my next question. I was about to ask if you prefer going for Cheetoy or not.
yeah.
Uh,
I heard you start. I was like, all right, I jumped the gun a little bit on that one.
no worries.
It's an
Quincy drawing
interesting.
the 6 pin.
Yeah, it's an interesting draw. This hand looks quite nice, but it just like in the face of what the other players have going on, it just feels like it's going to be a little bit too slow again. 4th pair for Eric. Haven't really looked at Pio's hand too much, but doesn't look like anything appealing. Oh, that's going to be the Dora draw. Is he just going to jam it? It is. Oh no, not going to hold on to it for a little bit, but if he holds on to it for too long, then Julian might get Tenpai. He's Shansen right now.
I'm a fan of discarding Yakuai that are Dora early. That's
Yeah,
just me personally.
every player's got their own take on it. Julian, I believe that Tumon would have come out from Quincy's hand regardless of Julian cutting it. So it's a bit unfortunate that he chose to play the Tumon instead of the 7. So would have been able to pull the Tenpai, but no. This way we can still draw to Sananko, which would be which would be even grosser. Eric fills in. That is, huh? That's not quite Tenpai. Eric's hand is very difficult. All right, decides to play the 4 pin. Once the potential Itsu, I believe, in Pinzu, while also maintaining just like his general Pinfu outs by if you can connect to the 5. So not really interested in Chitoi, which I think is fair. It's too difficult to make Chitoi work with his hand. Oh, Quincy gets a 5-pin to Chi actually while holding the other 3 in hand. Looking to just win a quick Tanyao Dora 1 with 3,000 bonus points makes a lot of sense. Eric plays out a 1-pin, maybe trying to limit everyone else's calling, understanding that with 3,000 points in the middle, people are typically trying to play a little bit faster. Oh, and there's going to be the Dora Palm. What weight is Julian going to decide to take? Takes the Sean Palm. So it's going to be 5 on 7 so. Sitting there, obviously you've put the entire table on alert. That is his Yaku as well. So it's South Haku Dora 4 at the moment. It is a Hanuman. It'd be 15,000 points if someone dealt in. Not a hit that anyone can afford.
Eric thinking over this north wind.
Yeah. When you see the Dora Pawn, your brain just kind of has to reset a little bit. See what happens.
That weight on the 5 so to discard might give an indicator to the other players because Julian took a little bit long, but
Yeah, we'll see. There are definitely players that are really good at picking up on things like that. And I think Eric is one of them. But we'll see whether or not because that's really only indicative of like something in Sozu. So maybe that even baits a 5-mon out. It's the nice thing about Champon weights is that it's pretty much impossible to read them. Because even if you can like guess on half of them, like you still get the other half just kind of chilling. Everyone gets scared when the door comes out, or when the door opponent comes out. Though I think this push makes a lot of sense for Quincy. Probably just deciding how best to go about it. Because if he can get Tenpai in the Sozu, he can shut down Julian's big hand and pick up a significant amount of points. That 5 on Tadashi is going to be ooh. Quincy
although Julian
deciding
did
not
change his weight
Yeah.
to 4-7.
Quincy deciding not to chi that gets rewarded. Gonna go ahead and push the 6-0. Not maybe not necessarily not fearing Julian, but like you just kind of have to. The unfortunate part is that this 2-5 so weight that Quincy has is actually just a 5 so. Well, Eric draws the 7 so, which I'm sure Eric would have noticed the 5-mon coming out from hand, which should indicate that the weight is around the 5-mon. But you kind of can't. If you're Julian, you can't be like thinking too hard about that. You just have to say, "Oh, okay, 4-7-mon weight is better than 5-on 7 so," and just hope that you even if someone reads what you're waiting on, like, your upgraded chance at sumoing is just so much better. You just can't really worry about it too much. Yeah. Quincy playing his hand quite aggressively. Kind of has to from his score situation. Oh, and there's the 5-mon backfire. Oh, so sad. That's Mahjong. You make the choice that has more weights, and then you get punished for it. 9-mon comes out from Quincy. Pio has 3 of the 4-mon in hand, by the way. I haven't looked too hard at his hand, but Pio is actually Ishanten as well. Not like a very wide Ishanten, but is Ishanten. Pio flashed the 4-mon. I think it flashed towards not Julian. So Julian doesn't see one of his weights sitting in Pio's hand. What does Eric manage to do, by the way? Eric is still kind of holding on, but it doesn't look like that hand's going to be able to do anything. This 2-5 so is just still so sad for Quincy because it's really just 5 so. And all of the tiles are dead. Because Eric's not cutting his 2-5 so, and Julian's definitely not cutting his. He missed running Pio on the last 2 so by a single turn.
It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, you can take the switch up here, which is very smart by Quincy. You play the 4-pin because it just came out from Julian. No need to risk the 3-pin. Is it the shape isn't helping you at the moment. Where are these tiles, by the way? We see 3 of the 4-mon and 1 of the 7-mon. But we don't see anything else, right? Or there's a 7-mon in discards.
There's a 7-mon in Eric's hand.
Yeah, so there's 2 7-mon in Eric's like discard. Oh, that's gonna be the wrong. Oh no. Oh no, Quincy. I was like, oh, where are the 7-mon? Oh, right there.
Yep.
So it's gonna be Hanemon plus 2 Honba. That's brutal. The team Yakumen is in dire straits. Yeah. Well, Julian feels a little bit better now about missing the Shabo Sumo. But that's brutal for Quincy. Because honestly, like pretty much everything he's dealt into this, like he definitely played aggressively there, but you're kind of like pressed into it, especially in a team setting where like you're sitting there like at 3K, your hand's worth like 5,000 points, and just like, I'm Ryanman Senpai, like I gotta fight. But man, it's just brutal. None of the other dealings have been like faultable in any way. Like dealing to Dama 12K on a 9-pin Shanpong. Like how often does that happen? You know?
Not very often, but Julian's starting hand looks kind of nice.
Yeah.
Or dealer as we go into the south rounds.
Yeah, it's seeing that South pair as soon as you get to South, it's like, yes, I'm home. Life is good. You get that South pair, get your quick your Yakuhai, has an Aka, also has the Hatsudora. Oh, but Eric. Hello, Eric. Nice hand you got there. Chilling there with a Dora 3 from start. And some just generally good shapes as well. We'll be looking to just connect to the 4-mon or the 8-pin. And try to just get like an easy call down to 8K. Pio's hand is also actually Ushanten.
8-pin from Eric.
Yep.
7-pin.
That's
Eric.
yeah. And you'll see there actually, Eric did something that I like doing a lot, is when you have a hand this good, like you want to get like common theory, I guess, would be that the Chun is like a slightly better tile than the 9-mon. But you don't really need a better tile than the 9-mon. You've already got everything set. But what you want is to minimize other people's ability to call. So draws another Rihanna. Jeez. All right, so Eric Shanten for 8K on turn 3. So he plays the Chun before the 9-mon here, and even the 5-so before the 9-mon, because he's just trying to limit the ability of other people to call his tiles. You don't want to wait around and cut the Chun like 4 turns. So now when someone palms it, and now they can fight your value bomb.
Sometimes it's just great to be lucky.
Yeah. Though there are some players, there are some things that could happen here that could put a wrench in things. Because Pio is also Ishanten. At the moment, it would just be Pinfunomi. But, yeah. Oh, and that's going to be the Hatsu. No con. Eric deciding to keep the value hidden, which makes sense. Yeah, but this looks like it's like half of a push towards a Honitsu, I believe, for Julian. It doesn't have to be a Honitsu, but it could be, depending on whether or not he gets these Souths. Because if it's not a Honitsu, then he has to get the Souths of the Yaku. That is Tenpai for Eric. So I actually think, math-wise, you're supposed to Riichi if you have Ryanman manga this early. And I think we might actually see Eric Riichi, just to try to scare Julian off his hand. Because Julian is the dealer, and he's showing a lot of like value. Oh, Pio's with the open Riichi! Oh no. Oh no, Pio, you don't know what you've done. Pio, no.
Now, if you're Eric, do you follow up open Riichi?
I think if you're Eric, you just
or do you just normal Riichi?
you just sumo.
Oh, okay. Just sumo. Just be lucky.
This is kind of what I meant when I said like math-wise, like this early when you have Dama 8K on a Ryanman, you're kind of supposed to Riichi because your sumo chance is so high, like with 14 turns to win a 2-sided weight or whatever it would be, that like you're going to consistently get that upgrade from Mangan to Hanemon. And if someone deals in, like you have the Ura chance for Hanemon as well. Like your win rate really does not get lowered by Riichi that much there.
Sometimes some people have to choose between being lucky and good.
Oh
Eric's just both.
yeah.
Just has all of it.
Eric has sacrificed a lot of Arma luck to get the luck that he's getting right now, though. I've watching some of his Armal games. He's felt as cursed as Quincy sometimes. That's my overall flow theory. Is that your luck exists in one place at a time. You just gotta go find it. So if you're getting bopped on Mod Soul or something, just go play Tenho. Or go play Riichi City. Your luck is somewhere. She's Eric C. Shanten.
Yet again.
What is going on with this game? Quincy is actually also Ishanten though. So like we have potential fighting and Quincy's hand's actually significantly better both weight and value wise to Eric's Ishanten. Now the other two hands, Julian's hand like actually looks like a pretty normal hand or a pretty good normal hand, but this is not a normal circumstance. And Pio, I believe, is also looking at a pretty solid hand, but it's just like when you're dealing with turn two Ishantens, like solid looking hand just doesn't quite cut it. So Pio does hedge that 9 Mondora for a little bit sitting in hand.
Oh,
we
Quincy
do
with
see
an
the
open
open
Riichi.
I like this from Quincy because so right now this is Riichi Dora 2. So with the open Riichi, it gets up to guaranteed Mangan, and you're kind of just in the situation here where it's just like you kind of gotta, like he needs points, and this makes Ipatsumo a Hanuman, Sumo Ura a Hanuman, Sumo Ura 3 a Baiamon, Akasumo is a Hanuman. It also it makes you a little bit more likely to get chased. And if you can get points from someone, if they fight you and then deal in, that's also like a pretty big deal. Like right now, Eric might consider fighting this. Yeah, it looks like he's going to. What is this? Is this? Oh, this is Riichi Aka for Eric, I believe. Correct? Yes. Waiting on Formon and North, deciding that he's willing to take this fight. Seems a bit aggressive for first place, but I believe you said that Eric's team may be looking to pick up as many points as possible, correct?
I'd have to double check my stats, but I believe they're one of the teams who are mid-table.
Gotcha. So Eric may be feeling.
Oh no, Eric is top of the table. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
The
So
other
maybe
three teams are mid-table.
kind of feeling himself on this chase though. Picked the wrong weight. What if he Patsumo the 5-mon Kanchan? But can't really blame someone for taking the north weight, even if it's not your wind. You just like it's one of those tiles where it's like when there's two Riichis and neither of them's the north seat, like north is a very reasonable tile to discard. Oh, the sumo. Alright, so is there gonna be an Urador here for Quincy? No. Alright, so it's just a Mongon still. Unfortunately gets nothing actually out of that open Riichi. But maybe did bait Eric into fighting a little bit. So picks up at least the extra 1,000 points from that. Pio
But
pays
Eric
out
has-
the
Go ahead.
yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. Pio pays out the dealer penalty here. So and between that and the expensive hand that Julian just won, this is definitely a game. Going into South 3 now, the plays that are being made is Quincy's trying to get out of the negatives, Julian and Pio are trying to fight each other off for second place. And Eric's just like, life's good.
Yeah, Eric has a lot of points to play with, both in the Sanshan and in team rankings. So.
Yeah. Definitely, I think that chase was a little bit more of an aggressive play than I've come to expect from Eric. But maybe
Definitely.
maybe feeling himself from just the overall good flow that he's had this Sanshan, as well as just saying, oh, even if I like deal into a Mongon here, like we're still pretty good. I'm still in first place in this game, and my team's still killing it. And is a nice break compared to last hand. No one's hand really looks very good. Like they don't look bad, but like no one's Ishanten yet, so it's already slower than last hand.
Yeah. Although we have been going through the hands quite quickly, just overall, at least in my opinion.
That's always nice. And I saw like when the lineups were announced, a lot of people reacted because like this is just a very experienced table. When you get like an experienced table together, like games move, and it's a great feeling. I've have you had a chance to get dragged into one of Eric's like hyperspeed games?
I have not. I'm pretty sure my brain would explode if I had to do that.
They're absolutely ridiculous. To put it in like online timer terms, it'd be 1 + 0.
Oh,
It's like it's legitimately like against the spirit of the game to spend time thinking. It's very fun. We did it like once at a on an auto table when we met up in San Francisco for the tournament, and we finished a Hanchan in 22 minutes. It was ridiculous. It was a great time though. But in terms of what's actually happening right now, Quincy is drawing quite well. Besides, I do actually like the 6-pin cut there for Quincy because you can get 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku still by holding that 1 pin, but you can also just like pair the Dora and be quite happy. So the 6-pin was definitely like the least good tile, I believe, in the hand. No one else really seems to have made a whole lot of progress. I guess Eric's also Ishanten. Yeah. So if Eric draws a 1 or a 2, so I imagine we'll see the preemptive Riichi. Akarianman, pretty good. But looks like Julian and Pio really just kind of struggling to get anything together, kind of sitting on like awkward shapes that just aren't quite working out for them so just yet.
Pio does have that nice Sozu block in the middle, but other than that, I
Yeah.
agree.
Now with this 8-pin draw, like maybe you can move towards a potential Tanyao. But it's like with the 9-mon pair, that's like it feels so far away. Just a very like awkward and unfortunate hand. Is that a 2-so draw for Quincy? Is that what the 5-so? Oh wow, fantastic. All right, so Quincy now is in a very nice Ishanten for a hand that could get him quite a few points. So actually, so if you're looking at Quincy's hand right now, Wes, what do you do if you draw 1 pin?
Uh, I drop the West.
You just drop the West and just like kind
Yeah,
of sit Tenpai with like Dama for a little bit and see if you can improve.
yeah.
Because like I like from this point and like just like the stubbornness in me, like if I draw 1 pin, I might just throw it back and say no. But it seems maybe a little bit too much.
I do like aggressively dropping the the Yakuhai though, so that's just
Oh,
me.
yeah. I just knocked something over. I will fix that. Sorry about that.
No worries.
What is that draw? Hatsu?
Pio, yeah.
I think at this point, like aggressively like cutting the West would be fine, but like its drawing one is so good for Quincy from these points that like you can't really worry about the risk that it presents. Because honestly, it's quite difficult for the West to deal into someone Dama, and if someone reaches, then you can just kind of reassess then. Let's see. So Eric and Wes. Oh, that is going to be Tenpai for Eric. That just going to take the Dama. All right, maybe maybe reining it back after seeing that he almost dealt into a Mongon last hand. So taking the pin Fudora, trying to get this game to all last. Waiting on 4-7 mon. Let's see if anyone's looking towards cutting it. It's an interesting draw for Pio. Pio's kind of like questioning everything at this point. Like, why is his hand like this?
Is Pio now going for Chitoy?
I think it's possible. It's one of those hands where it's just like, maybe. Though I think if I'm Pio, I would also consider pawning any of the tiles and just playing 9-mon, going for Tanya Aka. Because winning 2,000 points here is actually a pretty big deal if you're PO. Is you want to create any amount of extra buffer room over Julian. 'Cause Julian's actually not found his way to Tenpai as well. No Yaku. And it looks like we're gonna see the Chi and the Tanya commit then. Yeah. PO feeling like it's getting a little bit too late. Can't really afford to like sit around doing nothing anymore. What is this draw for Quincy? Just gonna be the Chun. No one really in danger of cutting 4-7-mon from the tiles that they have in their hand. have to imagine Eric just like calmly plays the one pin, thinking maybe he can reach you now that someone's opened, but doesn't really see the need to. Really just like puts himself at risk for no real reason. I think the one in most danger of dealing into Eric is probably Julian. If he happened to draw like a 3-mon or a 5-mon, I think we'd probably see the see the see the deal in. This should be a G for PO again. Yeah, now he's Shanten himself. Gets rid of the 4 so preemptively. Gonna hold that 9-mon back in hand because it's just on average a little bit safer. It's gonna be that. Oh, that's well. Okay, at this point, I think you just have to throw the West in sideways, and you're just like, damn, I really got the worst possible tempo. Okay, I like it. I like it. Quincy's wasn't quite able to create value with his draws there, but is going to go for the open Riichi. I mean, open Riichi sumo is already 2,000 points from everyone, and that's without factoring in any Ipatsu or Uradora. Eric calmly plays that 7-so Gebutsu. Doesn't decide to chase the dealer. There's no real reason to. Dealing into, even though Eric's got a pretty big lead, dealing into 12K would be not not ideal. What does PO draw? 7-mon, of course. Not what you wanted to see if you're Quincy, but that is 2K that Eric picks up, and Julian finds himself back into second place.
Yeah, Julian getting a little bit lucky there.
Yeah, you're quite happy there for Julian. So PO now like needs to just try to find anything quick and dirty. Eric's not really like motivated to extend the game, but if he's given something, this hand's not terrible. It's not great, but yeah, it's like if Eric's given something, he'll take it. But I imagine Eric just kind of wants to escape with his 50K first. And I feel like you can't let him get away with it multiple times. He put the tile down.
Well, our anonymous judge has not come over yet,
Yeah.
so I assume that's going to be a warning between rounds, maybe, or just a
Yeah.
reminder.
Yeah, but if the players are okay with it, I'm always like on the side of leniency. But like, I think once someone does it, like I'm usually willing to give someone a pass the first time, and Quincy nicely corrected it for him. But like the second time, I'm always a little bit more hardball on it. Yeah, looks like Julian very quick to understand what he needs here, calling the first discard, going for that Tanya. Has the Yakuhai in hand, but just felt like as fast as I can go with this hand is gonna be the best I can do.
Yeah, even though Julian would like to go away with more points here, ending the game quickly also beneficial for him.
It seems to me as if Eric has noted Julian's plan, noted his hand, and is giving Julian the whole wink wink nudge nudge. Let's work on this together. 'Cause if you look, Eric has already played a 3-mon and a 5-mon and the red 5-mon from his hand. Because if Eric can feed into a cheap Tanyao for Julian, and he knows that the Tanyao is relatively actually it doesn't have to be cheap. I thought I think it's a little bit well. I mean, if Julian Sumo's a Mangan Tanyao here, then I guess Eric's willing to say so be it. But if the door wasn't a Tanyao tile, then you're gonna especially feel like, oh, okay, feeding Julian Tanyao tiles is like very, very easy and cheap. But Julian's just drawing what he wants himself. He just needs to find a pair and a connector.
I believe Eric just made the decision to fold from Hypai and
Yes.
just keeping that 8-mon, knowing that Julian has discarded it already, building up a bunch of safe tiles
Yeah.
for when Julian gets even closer.
Yeah. So Eric's like kind of getting twofold. Like his actions are like twofold here. It's like he's folding immediately, and he's also like trying to help Julian along, just end the game before like someone gets like Sumo Hanuman and he pays out more than he needs to in a dealer penalty. Tough hand here for Quincy. Would like to create as much value as possible. Has the potential Ipeko. Also now has actually even potential Rion Peko. Tanya Rion Peko's on in play. Chito Ishanten. Lots of stuff going on here if you're Quincy. Definitely a Riichi Peko Dora actually would be enough points to get Quincy to exactly 0. Which, like, you know, when a game goes this badly, like, that's a win. Being plus can be that's Tenpai. We'll see if he's willing to take another open Riichi. What is Pio's situation, by the way? I haven't looked too hard. I believe it's a 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. So Pio is actually Ishanten himself. And Pio can just take like Riichi Nomi and take first place. Wow. Okay. So Quincy deciding not willing to cut the door to Riichi. Trying to just get as many points as possible out of this hand, but may run afoul of Julian, whose hand is now in a very, very nice looking Ishanten. That is Tenpai for Pio. This is actually just Pio
Do you like calling Riichi there?
I think you kind of have to, right? Because if you win Pinfu Nomi, you tie. That's not ideal.
Yeah, I don't think that's ideal for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, Julian's happier with tying than getting third place.
Definitely.
Oh well, now it's an easy dama because Pio upgraded to Tanya. Pio doing the wait one turn meme strat and getting rewarded. So now he's sitting 2K Tenpai on 5 mon, 8 mon. And it seems Eric is decided he's hoarded enough save tiles. That's gonna be the chi for it's gonna be the chi to Tenpai for Julian as well. So now we've got 3-6-0 for Tanya Dora 2 versus 5-8 mon for Tanya Pinfu. And Quincy just needs to find anything here. One pin's not going to be it. Needs to find 5-8 mon or 4-7 so. Eric's trying to deal in. You saw him like put that tile down. And like just like, huh? You want it? Take it, please. What's Pio got over there? A 4-pin? Deciding whether or not he can push it.
Do you cut the 4-pin?
I think if you're Pio here, like you just go. It's like it's like your bad case here is you deal into Julian for like 3,900 at worst. You know?
Sure.
But like if you win, you get the I don't know what the exact UMA is, but the difference between second and third K or second and third place is like a significant amount of points. Significantly more than you're risking.
I don't know the UMA offhand. I remember it being not the usual UMA.
Yeah, if it's copied off of Emily, then it's gonna be heavily skewed towards getting first, and it's like probably around like a +5 -15, something like that. But like if it's exactly +5 -15, then the difference between getting second and third is 20,000 points. That's a pretty big
Zuma
deal.
is apparently 30-10.
30-10. Okay, yeah. So yeah, 20,000 points. You get essentially 20,000 points if you win this Tanya Pinfu. If you're Eric, or if not Eric, if you're Pio. Do you like? If you tell me I'm Tenpai for 20,000 points, like I'm gonna push anything. Like, I don't care. The only thought I would have about like holding back is if I had risk of getting fourth place. But obviously Pio is not at all at risk of getting fourth place currently. Also, Quincy drew a 6-0, by the way. But did not. The Rion Pickle was not meant to be, as Pio does in fact deal in there with the 6-0 drawn. So that's gonna be Julian holding. Despite feeding Pio's like big Dama Hanuman, was able to hold second place in that for overall. Eric just kind of gets to comfortably sit with his first place, but damn, what a just absolutely tragic game for Quincy.
Yeah, Quincy and the Yakumen not sitting pretty after this this first game. Eric reasserting the Triad's dominance.
Yeah.
And Julian Pio kind of fighting it out in the middle for second and third.
Yeah, so it seems from what you said at the start, it seems as if this game might have been a bit of a microcosm of how the season has gone. Even Yakumen, Yakumen struggling, Eric rolling, and Julian and Pio's team sitting in the middle. Still a very new season, of course. I believe what's going on right now is that Eric's like, I was trying to deal in. Why didn't you run me?
Yeah, but as the players discuss their hands and get everything sorted out with the points and resetting, we're about going to take a short break.
Yeah.
So we will see
Sounds
you in a few minutes.
sounds good to me. I will take this opportunity to grab some water and take take notes from production. All right, and we are back from our break. It looks like we are about ready to start with game 2 here. Uh, quick glance says Eric's going to be the first dealer, and everyone is still seated in the same seating arrangement as last time. Makes my life easy. So it's going to be play order will be Eric, Julian, Pio, and then Quincy will have the last deal. Try to make a South Forward dealer run, get back some of those points from last game.
Yeah, the Yakumen really need a boost this Hanshan. Hopefully
Yeah,
Quincy can provide it.
Eric does remember to draw his first tile this time. Does so before even sorting his hand. It just kind of sets it off to the side. Pio's got 4 dragons. Of only 2 types, though, so Daisonga may be a little bit far off. We only see 1 Shun held in other people's hands, so possible. Technically. Like all good things. Julian's hand here not looking super hot. Can use the Force Odora and has the red 5 pin, just not very exciting. Eric's hand as dealer. Already Rian Shanten, because why wouldn't it be? Already Ishanten. Ishanten for Riichi Pinfu with potential Sanchoku Dora. Sure. So it looks like this might be a little. If things go like this might be more of the same. Though we'll see who gets the brunt end of it this time. Quincy with 2 Dora in hand, but the shapes don't really lend themselves to calling very well. Hard to make Tanya. What is that draw for Eric? Is that a south? Okay.
Yeah, it's the upside down south.
Gotcha.
Much more lucky than the regular or right side up south.
Yeah, I like that Pio's now seated where he is because the can't even if he angles his hand and doesn't line his tiles up correctly, it is significantly easier to read his entire hand. It looks like he's going to be going for this Pinzu Honi too. With the 2 Yakuhai dragons, makes a lot of sense. Eric has no interest in the Ipeco, sees the Sanchoku, sees the Dora acceptance, and is happy with the shapes as they are.
Pio jogging a second 6 mod.
Yeah,
But
Pio does
electing
not
to get the one
care.
from his hand.
Yep, just one of those things, Might as well look like I'm doing something, even if it's actually nothing. All right, that's going to be a quick Riichi from Eric. Only Riichi Pinfu, no potential for Sanshoku, but can get the Dora. I wonder how much you consider even like aggressively open reaching. That it feels like higher variance than necessary, because part of the appeal of the dealer Riichi is that people will fold to it at a significantly higher rate. Like now, Pio it can't really feel comfortable pushing either the 6 mon or the 6 so, whereas he would have just kind of continued on his path.
And
Where
Quincy
are
having to think about the 5 so, the red 5 so.
yeah.
Electing to get the 2 mod.
Yeah. Where are our dealing tiles? So, or well, Eric's winning tiles, we'll say. Julian's got 1 7 so in hand.
Quincy
And
has 2 of the 4 so's.
yeah, I can't imagine Quincy would really cut the 4 so here, short of an IRL misclick, which like I've done before. I'll be honest. You look like you discard a tile, but you look at it as like, wait a second, what did I just put in my hand? Yeah, I can't imagine anyone would actually deal into the Force Dora unless they get Tenpai and decide to fight. But that does mean there are 5 tiles in the wall for Eric to sumo on at the moment. I imagine this is just going to be a lot of drawing tiles, being a little bit stressed because you don't really have anything safe, and then whatever they push doesn't deal in because 4/7 so it does not seem like something anyone's going to discard, even if they don't have anything safe.
Quincy having to think about this 4 mod yet again.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like he just doesn't really have anything in hand. Like he has 5 Monsuji. That's like the best. That's the best odds he's got. And he also has 3 Dora in hand, so like you even have to decide like, all right, like am I actually folding? Which it seems like he's trying to. Which is like it's unfortunate when you have 3 Dora, but these shapes are just not really good enough to fight with. You'd have to clear like 8 so, 1 pin, 3 pin, and draw good tiles, like and then clear like whatever you didn't draw to progress your hand as well. It's just too hard. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Those two 8-pin become safe now for Quincy, so that makes his life a lot easier. Pio's Honitsu, yeah, no, Pio's Honitsu is pretty dead in the water. I can't really imagine him finding him to push 4-7 Mon and 6-0, unless they all come out from Eric, which seems unlikely. Haven't seen any of those winning tiles be drawn by anyone though, so still 5 on the wall. I feel like every time I say that, someone has then drawn a deal in or a winning tile, but I just don't see it. Oh, there it is. All right, Riichi Sumo Pinfu. Uradora here would be pretty big. Difference between 1,300 all and 2,600 all. Doubles the hand value. Doesn't get it. All things considered, this could have been a significantly more expensive hand for Eric, but I'm sure he's willing. I'm sure he's happy to just take a quick lead.
Plus, we have Big Hamba,
Yeah,
as I do like mentioning quite a
big
lot.
big Home's like it's so fun from a spectator perspective because we don't have to deal with the stress of a hand being worth 6K when it starts. Though in this case, it's only 1,500. And Pio has another looking call heavy hand. 2 Yakuhai pairs, no Dora, but an additional pair. Could potentially try to go for a Honitsu, but having like one block in each suit is a little bit rough for that. Julian takes his draw. Not the not the not like a bad hand, but really needs to find a connector to the 5-so or the 2-so. Or the 7-mon. Yeah, pretty solid hand. It can just be like a quick Riichi Pinfu, maybe or maybe even just like Riichi Shabo, Riichi Peiko, many things. Pio's got the double Yakuhai, and then ooh, Eric drew a red 5-pin in there somewhere. And then Quincy's hands like it's got like reasonable shapes, but none of the lots of just kind of awkward blocks that have to fill in. No one really holding any of the 3-pin Dora though. It seems all of them are live so far, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Looks like Pio and Eric are Mochi Mochi on the west, which Eric is absolutely fine with because he can't call that anyway. And it does look like Pio's trying to go for some sort of Honitsu, or is at least aggressively cutting Monzu. That's going to be Palm. And now I think Eric's probably going to hold on to those Wests for the rest of the hand because I think Eric also sees a potential Honitsu in his hand. Not the easiest Honitsu to form, and you don't really want to do it when you have the red 5-pin because you can connect that red 5-pin to the Dora as well, and that's just already worth as much as Honitsu is to begin with. Let me see here. Oh, Julian's hand is progressing nicely. Now sitting in a nice round Shunten with the bulging 7-mon there, the Nakabukure shape, the 6-7-7-8-mon is really good for acceptance. Because you can draw any of 5, 6, 8, and 9-mon and get a Rionman out of it. And 2 of them get you potentially Peiko, which is also nice. If I had to bet, I would think Julian's hand wins like the majority of the time. And now actually he's even looking towards converting this to a Tanyao. Not taking a step back in Shanten, but does take a little bit of a step back in efficiency. But that's perfectly fine. Especially to accept a Dora.
Eric drawing into that 2-set suite.
Yeah,
Matching sets.
feels the Peiko. And he's been able to hold on to that white dragon sitting over there for a safe tile for the entire hand. That is a nice draw for Quincy. Would have to play the 4-pin. But is he Shanten? Or has actually been Ishanten, but it's like it's really awkward Ishanten because no matter what you do, you're getting Riichi Nomi. Unless you draw like the red 5-mon, which is live. Can get it. Deciding though whether or not he wants to play the 4-pin and give up any Dora draws. Because you could theoretically just throw this 4-mon back if you wanted the Dora, because yeah, like you're not really that excited about getting Tenpai, and now you still maintain your chance of 6-7-8 San, or sorry, 7-8-9 Sancho. Eric a little bit worried about Pio's potential Honitsu, I think, but does decide to play the South. Kyo's Honitsu has, I mean, it's filled in the Sozu, and that is another Sozu, but hasn't really gone probably as quickly as he would like it to. He's probably really banking on getting that West Palm, but it's just not going to come. Another awkward choice here for Quincy.
Do you cut the 5-0 here?
I think you can. I think it's getting to the point where the 4-pin is also maybe like dangerous, but at the same time, you can just commit to never cutting the 4-pin if you don't get it, unless you draw like exactly a 9-mon. So I think 5-0 is fine here, and then you can just like reconsider if you draw the red one, since you don't actually lose anything then. There goes that 5-0 from Julian. Julian, I think, started to hoard some safe tiles. Maybe just hard committing to forming that block around the 7-mon in the 6, 7, 7, 8-mon shape, but not guaranteed to get Tanya that way. There goes the 4-mon for Quincy. What did he draw? Or sorry, the 4-pin. Bad at suits.
You drew the 8-0.
It's okay, yeah. So Tenpai takes the no Yaku Tenpai. Makes a lot of sense because you can just like you've got a 1-tile upgrade to Sanshoku, and it's like bad weight Riichi Nomi otherwise. Though it is important to note that it is bad weight Riichi Nomi for 1 Honba, which does skew the EV a little bit. Because like if you told me like I'm usually willing to Riichi if I have like 1 Dora, like a Kanchan, like a 3-5-mon, something like that with a Dora in hand. So you can kind of consider it like that because like that's 2,600 points. But it doesn't quite work because of the value of Sumo and Uradora is diminished. Also, Pio's Honitsu has all of a sudden made a lot of progress and now has overflowed a tile while we were thinking about others. It looks like Julian even like hedging this 8, so not really wanting to give it to Pio.
Quincy cutting the 6-mon though, getting rid of that potential
Yeah, I think
mixed triplets weight.
yeah. With the so I think the 6-mon doesn't actually like help towards the Sanchoku. You do break the Tenpai, but if you draw 7-mon, you can even just Furry Tenrichi. And then what he gains from it though is now you can get Itsu. You can get the straight and the Sozu. However, it is Furry Ten. Can I take the Dama? I wonder like how wonder how much you think about going open Riichi there if you're Furry Ten. Probably not then, because then like everyone's just gonna fight you even more than they normally would. But I think Dama's fine, and if you happen to get Sumo, great, and if not, like you can just kind of fold out as you need to. Pio and a lovely Ishanten. Oh, that's gonna be the Sumo. Oh, Misty Patsumo on the high out too. Unfortunate, but it's very, very like logical, fairly understandable choice to Dama that. But definitely would have Quincy, I'm sure, definitely like a little bit is like, I could have reached. But Sumo Pinfu Itsu is gonna be 1-3-2-6 plus the Honba makes it 18-3-1. This is the one thing I don't like about Big Honba is like Sumo map is so annoying. Yeah, it looks like the players have got it sorted out though. We'll know if someone screwed up if Pio and Julian don't have the same points. Yeah, a significantly better start to this game for Quincy than the last game. Finding himself a nice sumo, getting himself some momentum, hopefully.
Moving to East 2, Julian is now our new dealer. Did Julian draw? Julian did draw.
Yep. I gotta start looking for that. I told myself I was gonna be like hyper vigilant for looking for any Amy situations where like the wrong tile gets drawn. But it's just like there's so much going on. It's just like damn.
Yeah, we are just as focused as the players, so sometimes it is hard for us to see all of the mistakes that possibly could occur. The lights are on after all, and everything is a lot harder and a lot hotter under those lights.
True. Speaking of hot, if you I guess I assume since you were from Anime NYC, you were not around for the tournament last year. But the first day the AC went out in the venue, or either it went out or it just like wasn't good enough. But like by the end of the fourth hot shot, it was like 90 degrees in there. It was a rough go. It was a fun time though. I'm always down to play Mahjong, and it just makes the post tournament booze taste better. Uh, these hands, Julian's hand actually kind of looking not bad as dealer here. The 8-mon is our Dora, but the potential for the 3-4-5 Sanchoku mixed triple sequence for the for Julian looks pretty good. And the 2-pin also helps out that shape quite a bit. But with that 9-mon pair, Julian's gonna find it hard pressed to open this hand unless he goes for the Sanchoku. Pio's hand to his right, looking like just a quick, potentially quick way to get to Tenpai, but not a whole lot of value. Holding onto that floating 8-mon just in case. Quincy's hand actually looks quite nice to me. That Sozu shape is always like a good one for trying to just connect tiles and get a good weight eventually. Floating tiles are really good. Like none of the shapes have really like completed yet, but they're all like shapes that I would expect to complete sooner rather than later. And it seems like Eric also has a pretty nice looking hand. Really needs to fill in the 3-mon, but if he does, he'll be Ishanten for a Pinfu Riichi with the red 5 pin. Yeah, there's another now 2-tile shape for Quincy. So many of them holding on to this Hatsu. Maybe wanting to look for an open route.
Eric drawing this 3-pin.
3-pin, yeah. Have to think, yeah. So the 8-so makes the most sense here. Or maybe it doesn't make the most sense, but Eric seeing that it's already close to the end of the first row. If someone has a fast Tenpai, he'd like to be able to fight, and the West is just going to be a better tile to fight with than the 8-so. He doesn't. That Sozu shape certainly doesn't need any help. It's already 3-6-9. So the way this is scripted, I'm pretty sure Eric's about to draw a 3-mon. But like, what if though, right?
Yeah, the table really has been loving Eric today.
The thing about making calls like that is that like no one really cares when you're wrong, but like the few times that you're right, like if like everyone's like, "Oh, what a god!" See, everyone's hand kind of starting to slowly stagnate, looking for just for those upgrades. Pio's Rian Shanten, Julian just hasn't really been able to find anything useful. They draw a Dora, but there's no value. Quincy loses the Tanya by drawing 9-pin, but is he Shanten himself now? Eric decides does not want to cut the Dora. So actually goes back a Shanten. Interesting. I'm not necessarily sure I agree with that play, but I think Eric also may be just attempting to minimize risk, given that he's probably not prepared to fight someone's hand if someone does palm the Dora. And his team is like, in such a good position that they don't need to take risks. And now he's back to Ishanten, though it's a significantly worse Ishanten in terms of tile acceptance. Yeah, it doesn't even take it. Gonna try to form an additional block out of that Sozu.
Quincy drawing the 4-pin. Little bits of a sink there.
Yeah, not like I think it's fairly negligible which one you cut there. I think personally I would have opted for the 3-pin cut, just because if you do end up like wanting to Riichi on a Shanpon for some reason, you have the Nakasuji trap on 4-pin. But I'm not really sure what world there would be that you would want to Riichi waiting 4-pin 7-mon Shanpon instead of 2 5-pin. But I don't know. So I think it just doesn't matter. 3-pin's also a good tile. Never betrays.
Well, in the case of Quincy's team, the 3-pin always betrays.
Oh. Clearly, it's because they're people that believe in 3-so. You have to renounce 3-so to understand the value of 3-pin. Eric trying to Mopai the the Manzu. Eventually, I think had to look at it. Mopai being like, oh wait, okay, yeah. Theo is kind of drawing and discarding. Has made his way actually to a Tanya Ishanten. Could be yeah, would be Tanya Pinfudora. Kind of has worked his hand all the way around to being like potentially good and valuable, but just hasn't quite found that Tepa yet. Now going into the third row is when probably start to see the open ups from players who are a little bit just they waited as long as they could. But the problem is the only one who can actually open and have a Yaku that's close to Tenpai is Pio. Because Julian's hand is just not really getting there, unfortunately. He's got the nice double east, but came a little bit too late. 8-pin doesn't really do anything here for your PO, but close out the 5-pin. Maybe try to do so preemptively so that if someone does Riichi and PO draws like the red 5-pin, he can then play the 8-pin back. But I think this late, it's the 5-pin's probably already as dangerous as it's going to get. All right, now Quincy just has to like make another choice. There's not really any like right or wrong. I do actually in terms of like going for value here, it's an interesting decision to make because by playing 4-pin there, you lose more tiles of acceptance than if you played like 3-pin or 3-mon. But now you have a chance at San Anko or three concealed triplets, which would be probably the only way Quincy actually has to win a Mongon here. So it's one of those things that you can do when you're trying to look for value like that. And his team certainly needs value. I did find some time to check the standings during our break, and it has been rough going for the Yakumen. I don't know why I was about to say I'm surprised that Pio didn't cheat at 5-so. I think we're all relatively familiar with Pio's level of greed. But Julian does finally get this double tone. Now Ishanten for a 12,000 point hand, so the long road there might end up paying off just because everyone else's hand has been so slow as well.
Do you Riichi here as Quincy for the 3-pin 7-mon Shanpan? Or no?
No. Looks like after the dealer call is gonna scare him off. With seeing none of the Dora is definitely quite concerning if you're Quincy here and does not want another he already kind of fell afoul of Julian having double East last game. So I think rather than taking Riichi Nomi, he's gonna sit with his first place and say, I'm happy with this. Which I think makes sense, especially this late in the hand, and then with no indication that Manzu is in any way safe. Fortunately, we know that Julian is not Tenpai. And in fact, no one is Tenpai now. Eric deciding whether or not, or actually, whose turn is it? Is it Pio's turn? No, it is
It's
Eric's
Eric's
turn. Yeah, deciding whether or not he can play this 4-pin. Decides not against it, and it is probably for the best because that would have given Julian Tenpai. Alright, this has to be a cheat. This has to be a cheat. Alright, there you go, there you go. Alright, so Pio Tenpai for Tanya Dora 2. Does get rewarded for greeting, as it seems like he often does. Gets the red 5-so to chi instead of the normal 5-so, but he was definitely looking to Riichi, which is why he didn't take the chi a few turns ago. So it's going to be 2 5-mon wait for Pio. Is the only one currently Tenpai.
I
The
believe
5-mon is a little bit. The 2-mon I think just comes straight out from Julian. I think the 5-mon's like iffy. Oh no, actually no, the 2-mon gets slotted into the hand. Wow. Well played, disciplined, or well played to hold that back from Julian. Plays a 6-pin pair instead. Susses out that Pio's and Manzu in general are just absolutely terrible on this board. Saved himself 3,900 points there. Probably gonna see Pio being no 10 here. And or sorry, Pio being the only one Tenpai here and say like, I made the right play. It's almost like it's a good feeling, you know? It's like, oh, I drew a tile, decided not to push it, and it would have dealt in. Certainly a better feeling than I drew a tile, I pushed it, and it dealt in.
definitely. on to e3. PR remembering to draw before arranging the hand.
Nice, nice. Glad that we haven't had any like technical mix-ups. I haven't been tracking closely enough to see if like the correct amount of points have been exchanged, but I'm like fairly confident that they have. I actually had this conversation beforehand that between Pio and Eric, they will be very miserly with their points and make sure that they are not losing a penny more than they need to. Is with the big combo, the math becomes not like as elementary as it normally is for players that have scoring memorized. This hand is looking quite okay for Eric at the very least. Has the one pin Anko, but also has pairs of 7-mon, 5-so, and 7-so. Nicely looking towards maybe like a Riichi Dora 2, maybe like a vertically based hand. Vertically being like, drawing upwards or drawing pairs and triplets as opposed to runs, which are like kind of sideways. Quincy sitting in South Seat, unfortunately, like has like the makings of a Manzuhoni too, and that Haku helps a lot. But yeah, the tiles in hand just are not particularly great. Besides like the completed shapes. Looks like Eric's Ishanten already, correct? Yes. Ishanten needs a 1-4-so, a 5-so, a 7-so, or an 8-so. Which is pretty good for turn 4.
I mean, none of us are surprised that Eric is
Yeah.
Ishanten already.
No, not at all.
Dib's
Not
been
at all.
loving him. Camera's been loving him.
Yep. The Pio sitting here on his deal would like to make something happen. Finds himself in like, an okay second place. Or actually, sorry, tied for second place. There's a 100-point stick missing from not Julian. 100-point stick missing from who's the dealer right now? Oh wait, no, never
Pio.
mind. Yeah, never mind. Okay, Pio is in second place. I'm dumb. I was looking for a home indicator. And I didn't expect there to be a 100-point gap, but oh well. Yeah, besides Eric, no one's hand is looking particularly exciting. So we will see if anyone can catch up while Eric looks for Tenpai. The 8-so at the very least is going to be a tough tile for Eric to get. With the aggressive Karagiri or Karagiri being to discard the one from your hand instead of the one you drew. Throws that 6-pin in the middle and then just slots the 6-pin right back into his hand.
Sometimes you have to let the other players know, is Eric already reaching?
There it is, and this is probably the best weight that so this is the best Tenpai that Eric could have gotten because now his hand is guaranteed to be 40 fu. It's Riichi Dora 2, or sorry, Riichi Dora 1. It has potential to win Dora 2, but if he had drawn say 8-so, then this hand would have only been 30 fu because he doesn't get the extra fu from the Anko of 5-so. Now Quincy has to make a tough choice. Decides to just full fold with the pair of Haku. Seeing one cut already and the tiles that he would have to push being 4-5-5 pin to try to make anything happen, I think that's a fairly justifiable decision. Especially after the first game. Was that
Awkwardly
draws the
drawing another
Haku.
Haku.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. There were 2 Haku in their last turn too. Definitely I hate to see it, but I think Quincy may be feeling a bit pressured to fold, but it's how well things have gone for Eric. And again, there's no real reason to risk things at this point. Though this is like a fightable hand now. If you're willing to push the east, which it is it live? I'm pretty sure it's live, yeah.
I believe it's live, yeah.
Yeah. So it's tough to push the east, but if you're willing to do it, the 3-mon also just became Genbutsu. The 5-so is gonna be a hard pass though. I'm not sure how you ever justify pushing the 5-so. Unless Eric cuts exactly 8-so, and even then it's iffy. One pin comes out. It's going to be a Sotogawa playing behind the early Pinzu cuts that Eric made. Definitely a nice defensive technique to know for when you run out of safe tiles, because Genbutsu only take you so far, and there does come that east. Because Quincy's now actually in a nice Ishanten. And a pretty fightable one as well. And remember, there is a home ball on the board. The last hand went to exhaust. I haven't actually checked how many tiles are in the wall for Eric. Kind of do a brief glance on that now. I see 2 One-So have been discarded before, or 3 One-So actually, before the Riichi, and Pio has the last one in hand. So it's just the 3 Dora, but there are 3 4-So available for Eric to draw. But one of those 4-So would give Quincy Tenpai. So if Eric does win this hand on a sumo, it will be Riichi Sumo Dora 2 at absolute minimum. With multiple chances for Ura 3, and even Ura 2 would be a Hanuman. Now
Pio
Pio
drawing the
draws.
force though.
Yep, there's the Dora draw. Does not get baited into playing the One-So. Very disciplined play. He does have 4 pairs, so there's like technically a chance that Pio could get Chitoy, but it is becoming quite late. Quincy willing to push out that 9-mon. I don't know if it had become safe just yet, but willing to fight for this Ishanten, it looks like. And the 6-mon becomes Nakasuji. Oh no, the 9-mon was Genputsu. Yep. So the 6-mon becoming Nakasuji, though, is fairly reasonable to push with then, I think. 9-So is safe. 7-So becomes safe. Pio does not have one to give, but if he does draw one, then it can now be discarded and Quincy can cheat it for Tenpai. I think that 6-mon is a tile I'm willing to risk for Tenpai here if I'm Quincy. Pio's sitting there with a red 5 pin. It's like, huh. What do?
Yeah, I like cutting the west here too.
Yep, I think that makes a lot of sense. The only wrong choice is One-So. So ooh, this is a toughie, and now if you're Quincy. Because 4-mon is not one of those tiles that's really been able to pass Eric. And in fact, nothing in that like range has really seemed particularly good. But you also are Ishanten. Alright, goes ahead and tries to hold on. Plays 4-pin. I do like that it is Nakasuji. Nakasuji being like a 1-pin and a 7-pin have been discarded, so you know it's not dealing into a 2-sided weight. It can only deal into like a 3-5 shape or a 4-4 shape, or just a 4-pin Tonki. So it's hard to expect Eric would be reaching 4-pin Tonki. You know, sometimes it happens. Did he get rewarded? No, draws the 4-mon. Okay, so Quincy still has outs to potentially get Tenpai. But his wall is running thin. I believe yeah, Quincy as our south player will have the Haite here. This is the last draw. Does he get Tenpai? No. It looks like the West. I didn't see if Julian drew one in time. But it looks as though at least one Dora was dead walled it, maybe 2, which is unfortunate for Eric. But I'm sure he will happily just take the 3,000 from everyone. And now there's 2 Halba. Pretty big deal. So there's 4,000
Big
points.
combo, big deal.
Yep. 4,000 points up for grabs, and I see quite a few hands that look like they have calling outs. See Julian already with a Haku pair and a completed 3-4-5 so, and also some pairs in or the 5-mon pair. So a lot of calling that can be done by Julian. Pio's hand is really not what you want to see at all when there's 4,000 up for grabs. Quincy's the dealer. Has actually a pretty reasonable Tanya rush, I believe. You'd have to cut the 9-mon Dora, but like the 9-mon Dora is worth less than the Homba at this point, so I think I'm okay with that. And then Eric has 2 reds in his hand, and Eric just has a really good hand. I don't know why I'm surprised. Actually, I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm surprised. For Eric, the key thing is going to be finding a 6-pin. Because if Eric can force this to be Tanya, I think he's going to be him or Julian is going to be the fastest. And speed is everything on this hand when you've got this many points up for grabs. Every time I say that Eric's going to want to draw a tile, I just expect him to draw it. I think it'd be funny. The vast majority of my experience playing Mahjong has just been, I do things that I think are funny. 5-pin draw is very good for Quincy's potential Tanya rush. But Eric fills in a shape. Now he's Shanten. Can't even can chi 5-8-mon or 4-pin to be Tenpai, but we'll see if Eric wants to do it that quickly. It's a little bit rough to go out Azuke that early on a 6-9 pin. It's like obviously you expect the 9 pin to be cut significantly more often than the 6 pin. Yeah, and there's that Dora cut from Quincy. Looks like he's going to just kind of try to move towards that Tanya. Recognizes that he just needs to go as fast as possible. What is that draw? Is that a 3-mon? That is 3-mon.
That's a
Okay.
3-mon. Also,
Yeah.
Quincy preferring the 5-8 weight over just an 8 weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Doesn't want to greed onto that Dora because again, just needs to looking for as many opening chances. And now Eric even adds another chi that he could potentially make. Gets Tempai now on 7 and 8 pin draws because of that 3-5 Kanchan. Speaking of which, I think this is a fairly textbook Dama if you're Eric. That he is already Tempai now. He's going to organize his hand nicely so that we can see it. But it's waiting on a Foimon Kanchan. Which, if we look at people's hands, it's unfortunate for Julian, by the way. I haven't looked back at his hand, but that Haku is just. Or actually, a Haku came out. I wonder if Julian just didn't see it, or just decided that he wanted a little bit more than Haku Nomi with the hand. But the big Homba, I think, really skews us towards just kind of calling whatever you can.
Maybe Julian decided it's a bit early, and we can wait a few more rounds around the table. Get a
Very
later
possible.
Haku.
Very possible. Just when you're sitting through no fault of his own, is already sitting in last place just from I think Tenpai payments. But so picking up the points here. Oh, that's gonna be the sumo for Eric. Casual Mangan, sumo Tanyador too. Nice is what is that? 2,000, 4,000 is 3,000, 5,000. That's so cursed. At least the math's easy on that.
And now we enter to South 1.
Jeez, we're already in South? It feels like this game started 15 minutes ago.
Eric hopefully will remember to draw from the wall.
There it is. All right. Even flourished it a little bit. It's like, I did it. Are you proud of me? Eric's ability to play with tiles is just mind blowing to me. Which I understand is just a product of him working very hard and practicing, but damn. Watching Eric handle tiles makes me feel so boomer. My hands are old and slow.
Looking at Julian's hand looks quite explosive.
Yeah, the potential for the double south always a nice one. No Dora in hand, but can try to form this into a potential honing two if you get the right calls. But even just double south would be quite good for Julian at this point. Just get some momentum on. Because he's very much in range of catching up with both Quincy and Pio. And that 3-pin draw is going to help out quite a bit. If Julian can get this hand closed as well, Riichi double south would be a pretty big deal. Looking at Quincy's hand, don't quite see all of it at the moment. But
Just
looks like
7-so for Quincy.
yeah. Okay, so 6, 7, 8 Sanchoku is what's jumping off the page to me for potential value. No one really not really the easiest way to use the 4-mon Dora, but it can slot it in with that floating 2-mon. It just is a little bit awkward. Eric's 3-5 so is blocking the hand a little bit, but looks like he's slowed down a little bit there. The shapes aren't bad, but they're certainly not good. And POZ Shanta. It's always the last hand you look at that's actually the good hand, Maybe because they've had more time to actually fill the hand while we talk about other hands. Yeah, PO nice and chill Ishanten. Potential even for a 4-5-6 Sanshoku in some worlds if he draws exactly 6-mon and then 5-mon. Which you don't really need to actually go for. Because even then the Sanshoku is not guaranteed. So I think he'd rather have a safe tile. But Pinfu Dora 2 is certainly a nice hand to be almost Tenpai 4 on turn 5. The key for Julian's going to be finding these souths, which Quincy has just drawn one and is holding on to it for a little bit, but I expect it'll come out soon. This Quincy's hand looks relatively well formed at this point. Yep. Oh, Pio draws the Tenpai, slams the button. Nice and easy. No open reach this time. Pio happy with his Riichi pin Fudora too. Wants to win it as often as possible.
Quincy thinking about cutting that south after drawing the 4 mod.
Yeah.
Hasn't been cut yet.
Yeah.
A little
The
bit.
thing, it's definitely quite suspicious, but like, what are you gonna cut if you don't cut south, right? Unless you're a big subscriber to Dora Theory.
Notably, Julian does just let it slide and not call.
Yeah, I think Julian probably sees his hand, sees that he's like been beaten to the punch, and would rather have to save tiles. Because this is a very difficult hand for Julian to fight with. So it looks like Eric played his East-East pair. Quincy's going to do his or probably has like the most incentive to fight just because he has so few safe tiles. And by so few I mean like almost like 0 in hand. The only reason he had a safe discard that turn is because Pio discarded the 2-so for him. So I believe if anyone's gonna fight this down, it's gonna be Quincy, just because he doesn't really have any choice. Yeah, and then we see Julian cutting those souths. Yeah, so that's gonna be a fold. Eric played East-East. That's probably gonna be a fold as well. So let's take a look. We see a 4-7 pin, 2 in Julian's hand, 1 4-pin in Eric's hand, and 2 in Quincy's hand. So I believe that adds up to 5, right? I can do basic math. So 3 tiles for Pio to Sumo.
I believe so. Quincy trying another 3 pin. Although Eric still has another East to get rid of, so Eric is safe. But
Yeah. Quincy is just like, every time I look at his hand, like he just has like the absolute worst draws when when there's an early Riichi. You just like find yourself in a situation where it's just like, how do I even like not deal in here? Plays the 8-pin. I think that makes a solid amount of sense. It's behind the 2-7 pin. It's your it's your like your furthest out tile, so theoretically you should have the lowest deal in, right? Besides the 2-mon, but the 2-mon connects to the Dora. He'll pause for so long with that Haku on top of his hand. I was like, wait a second, isn't he in reach? All right, now plays the 5-pin the Nakasuji created for himself. That makes sense. Yeah, so I think the very much the play in this hand is between Quincy and Pio.
is Eric Yushanten?
Please do not tell me Eric has found his way to Ishanten. Eric is Ishanten. What the hell? just two. Oh, is that the 2-mon? That's a rough tile to draw. Eric is the dealer here, but yeah, decides no. All right, you cursed it. If we didn't notice it, he would have got 10-5. It would have been one of those things that we only noticed because he called reach. But taking stock on Julian's hand is also drawn a plethora of cursed tiles that look like they might deal in. Because I mean, look at Pio's discards, right?
There's very little to read from that.
There's nothing. Like there's 2-so. That's it. And he cut 2 of them. Yeah. This is Julian ends up actually catching the bad side of that because like you just have nothing. You have no information. You have no chance to like think of anything. You see 3 of the 5-pin, so playing outside of that on one way or the other, probably your best bet. It's like, Pio had the last 5-pin, so what are you gonna do? Looks like that's a rough one for Julian, but no Uradora, but still 8,000 points is not something he could afford there as we move into South 2.
Yeah, Julian not feeling that much luck this Hanshan. Maybe it's just that seat on the table,
Yeah,
not very lucky.
could be. Looks like he's got 4 Dora. That could. Oh no, sorry, just 3 Dora. That's not a third 5-pin. So this could be the play. Looks like he's maybe looking towards a Pinzu Honitsu, playing the 4-mon first. Seeing the East come out immediately from Pio cannot be a great feeling though. Pio also has a pretty quick hand, it looks like. Has an Akadora and good Tanyao shapes.
Yeah, I really like Pio's hand.
Quincy's hand is kind of hot garbage. If I had to pick a describer for Quincy's hand at the moment, well, now it is less hot garbage than five pin draw, but still pretty
I,
rough.
I like to call those types of hands interesting, personally.
Yeah,
Not good
unique,
interesting, just interesting, unique.
unique.
Exactly, that's the word.
So it's when I play those hands are not unique at all. Those are average, is how I call them. And Eric's got a 3-mon Onko and a 1-mon pair, but one kind of needs to fill in really needs to fill in a 3-so to get anywhere. It looks like, and does not seem like it's gonna be very easy. Have to probably back Pio to have the fastest hand here. Actually, Pio's already on a really widey Shanten. If Pio draws 5-mon here, I'm actually gonna scream.
There's no
Not
way.
like
It's not gonna happen, right?
surely,
Could never happen.
especially because there is no especially because I just hope because then he gets a 4-sided weight if he gets a 3, 6, 8, 9 so weight if he draws 5-mon. Also, if he draws the last 7 so he also gets a 3, 6, 9 weight, which would be quite nice. There's also an outside chance where this hand is like somehow a 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku, but it seems actually no, it's pretty impossible because if you draw 7 pin, use Riichi. You don't wait around for anything like that. Julian's hand though, Izzy Shanten would be East Dora 3 if he can find that East. We see Quincy's got one in hand. Just drew it, it looks like. Decides to play the Haku first. I don't think that's a call you can make of your Julian. Yeah, but 3-pin does not help. That has now secured himself a safe north to cut when he gets Tenpai. That is Tenpai for Pio, I believe, right? No, it is not. Never mind. I can't read. But Tuso is not, in fact, Tenpai. I'm just dumb.
Was he drawing a third 9-pin?
Yeah, there's going to be the East. That's going to be the pawn for Julian. So 12,000 point Tenpai on the table. Pio not been able to fill in this very wide Shanten. Still no. Where are the 4-pin at? 1 is the indicator, of course. That's what makes Julian's hand so good.
One is in Quincy's hand, who
Yep.
draws the 2-mon.
And 2 in the wall. Which I don't think Pio will immediately discard if he draws. A 4-pin is a significantly better floating tile than an 8-pin at the current state. But look out if Pio gets Tenpai in the Manzu or Sozu. Ooh, that's a very interesting choice now that Julian will have to make. Can switch to a 5, 8-pin weight. Oh wait, no, sorry, not. I thought that was a 3, so actually no. Still an interesting choice, but decides to break the Tenpai because just does not feel confident in the Dora indicator Kanchan. So looking to get a better weights overall, and that Forza really helps. But personally, I'd find it quite difficult to turn down 12,000 point Tenpai, and Pio does draw Tenpai here. Will be just a weight on 8-pin and 5-mon. Pio probably a little bit suspicious of the fact that he doesn't see any of the Dora outside of or he sees one of the Dora. So goes ahead and takes the Dama. Gonna maybe look for an upgraded Manzu. Because if you draw like any like a 4, 6, 7, you get a nice Rion then. What's it gonna be for Julian? Is this you get rewarded? No, the 2-pin. That's gonna be the Riichi, yep. It's just Riichi Dora, there's no Pinfu, but there's potential for Tanya for Pio, and now it's a 6, 9-pin weight. Fortunately for oh, that's gonna be the Ipatsu kill chi for Eric. Eric maybe thinking like he can fight this? Yeah, feels comfortable with the 1-mon push. Well, it's Genbutsu. That would be why. But also he has 3 of the 3-mon, so it's harder to use the 1-mon. Eric just kind of slowly trying to make his way towards this Tanya. Pio with the 6-9 pin weight, and Julian will push anything. Kind of have to from this point. But would really like to get an 8-pin to cheat at Senpai. Fortunately, Eric just does not have one to give him.
Quincy drawing the 3-pin, completing that 3-4-5 shape.
Yeah, that is Tenpai. Deciding whether or not this is fightable. Quincy does decide to fight, and Riichi's with the 3, so Julian to be able to palm that to Tenpai as well.
Do you fight if you're Quincy? Or do you just try to maintain your place for now and wait to have a better striking point?
I think I just fight, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this.
And Quincy agrees with you.
Yep. Ooh, I think you kind of have to palm this if you're Julian. I think you can't really afford to kind of sit around. But yeah, hopefully we'll see a progress draw here. Nope, just the sell. So it's that's gonna be the sumo. Looks like it wouldn't matter either way, but that the chi happening there instead of the palm gives Pio the sumo instead of Quincy the deal in. So that's interesting in its own way. But yeah, so Pio picking up a much needed Mangan there. Sets himself up to be in first place, just barely overtaking Eric. Meanwhile, Julian is paying out that 4,000 point penalty is really not something he was looking to do there. At least wanted someone to deal in if he couldn't win his big hand. But now is inching ever closer to busting himself after securing a nice, like, comfortable second place last game. And then Quincy's having a better go of it than last game, but hasn't really been able to find anything since that Furryton sumo that we saw in East 1.
Also, this is the first time someone besides Eric has been in the lead for a very long time.
Yeah, I believe actually since I think Eric immediately took the lead back after Quincy got that Itsu sumo on the Furryton in East 1. And Eric got it back and has been holding tightly onto it ever since. Still a lot of Mahjong to play. Style 3, especially on Pio's deal, even like a 3-Han sumo will, or sorry, a Mangan sumo would put Eric back ahead. Words. Any Mangan sumo will drop Pio below Eric due to do with I can't talk. Life is hard.
Life is hard.
I agree. Julian looking like he could have a hand here to if he can get the right draws. There's potential for a 3-4-5 Sanchoku. Every hand I see is just Sanchoku. It's one of the best ways to create value, especially when you need a lot of it. Because you can kind of like at least see like 4 or 5 tiles to it in any like run based hand. So that 3-pin drawing to Ishanten is quite nice as well. And Julian could even decide to not Riichi if he draws Tenpai here, looking for that Sanchoku. Pio is our dealer here. Has 3 Dora in hand. And if he would move his nice watch, looks like he's Ishanten actually for Itsu Dora 3. Is Pio gonna get another curse like absurdly good Dama Itsu? Certainly looking very possible. Alright, that's a good draw for Julian. Upgrades to potential Pinfu. If you draw 7 Mon, then you can play 4-pin and Riichi and get Riichi Pin Fudora at the very least. So not the way you want that. You'd want the 5-pin for the potential Saiyan Shoku. Yeah, Pio's hand is really nuts. Quincy is also Palm Chun. Trying to just like, get off Pio's deal, get to his deal, and try to run something up himself for is also Ishanten himself, and we'll probably pull the 5-pin to Tenpai when Pio gets there. So we'll probably have 2 Tenpais fighting. Oh, Pio now has to make a choice. It's not really clear which way is correct, but you definitely play either the 4 or the 6. That's one of those choices where it's so like blatantly 50-50 with no like right or wrong way that you're just always going to make the wrong choice. So 50-50, 100.
having a long think about getting rid of this 7-pin.
Yeah. Oh, yep, I told you. I told you. No matter, like, if you actually have, like, a true 50-50 choice in this game, you're gonna make the wrong choice, like, 80% of the time. Ah. Anyway, I've kind of fallen off of looking at other people's hands. Eric looking like he's just kind of holding safe tiles and playing normal. Doesn't really feel like he can fight with this hand. Maybe just hoping someone will take Pio's deal for him. Oh, sorry, that's not. I misread entirely. That's not Shunomi from Quincy. That's Chundora 2, with potential for Dora 3. That's a significantly more important hand. I'm thinking now, could have drawn. Okay, plays the 6-0 out. Not interested in the potential red 5 upgrade. Would rather just have the safer tile in hand if he does decide to fold later. What does Julian have there? Plays. Oh, that's Ishanten. I see. I see.
Is it
Oh,
the
and Pio takes that pull and finally gets his Tempai. Waiting 8 mon, and now Quincy also gets his Tempai. So we've got Tempai for both Quincy and Pio. Pio's for 12,000 points on the 8 mon, and
only one 8-mon in Julian's hand, and I don't see any out on the table.
yeah,
So
not
it's
that I can
very
see
live.
either. And Quincy's got a. Oh
Fun.
no! Oh, that's absolutely tragic.
I'm pretty sure that seed is just cursed.
Yep, I think so.
Last time Quincy getting the bad end of it. Now Julian.
Yep, and the sheet to the right is blessed.
Yeah, it has really been those two seats getting most of the action.
Yeah. Well, that does put us into South 3-1 now, and that's a huge shakeup for the standings in terms of this game. Um, I mean, it's very tragic for Julian. Drops from a bad game to a worse game, but it also makes it significantly harder for Eric to snipe a first place, and even harder for Quincy to do so as well. Quincy's certainly not out of first place contention. You kind of always technically are as long as you have a deal. But you know, when when it gets to South 4 and the score situation is pretty like taken care of, you'll see a lot of people just trying to win like a quick hand, which means being the last dealer can be a little bit of a detriment sometimes. Pio's hand also already looking pretty nice. Outside chance of like some sort of Rion Pico meme, but I think it'll probably just end up playing out as a normal hand. Julian's hand also looks nice, just doesn't has like potential for value. You know, you could get like a straight and Sozu, something like that. Really would like to fill in the 7-mon. Just get look for Pinfu. Eric's got 2 red 5s. Pretty clear route towards the Tanyao, it looks like as well. Yeah, it looks like Eric's gonna be rushing for that Tanyao. Or it is actually already Ishanten even. Not necessarily for Tanyao, but can draw a Tuso, get Riichi Pin Fudora too. But I think if you're Eric here, you definitely consider opening for Tanyao Dora too as well. Quincy actually also finds himself in Ishanten, but would be Riichi Nomi no matter what weight he ends up getting. But if you draw a 3-pin, I think you can justify just slant. Oh wait, sorry, no. Wait. Oh yeah, never mind, never mind. Quincy's still Rion Shanten. I just can't see. All right, Julian moving towards that full straight in the Sozu. Definitely a very nice pickup. Would like to find a the pair confirm, either drawing 6-mon, 8-mon, 1-pin, or 4-pin.
Is Eric's hand enough on its own to get within striking distance for South 4?
Yeah. So even if Eric doesn't get the Pinfu, it's gonna be at minimum Riichi 2. So that's gonna be at it's gonna be 5,200 points plus the Honba. It's gonna end up being 67. And that's just on like not running PO or sumoing. So then that would get him within winning any Mangan range. But if the key number really to look for in South 4 is if it's non-dealer, you want to be within 10,000. Because that means you can win the game with a Mangan sumo. So if Eric can even pick up like if Eric can be Tenpai and PO not Tenpai even, that'd go a long way.
Quincy cutting the 4-pin, deciding Tanya is probably the best choice, maybe?
Yeah, now draws the one or sorry. Draws who's
It's
turn are we
Julian's
on?
turn.
Julian's turn. I completely lost the flow of the game. But yeah. Looks like it. And maybe even yeah, there's gonna be the or no, not the one pin coming back out. Oh, I think Quincy was looking for this potential 678 Sanchaku. I kinda love it. You can get Tanya Sanchaku Dora. If you get it closed, like even better. I think Pio's hand is kind of frozen by this 8 so Dora sitting in it, but he's also Ishan 10. Everyone's hands kind of like making their way towards it. Pretty everyone's hand actually looks quite fightable at this point. We might see some fireworks. Especially because Eric is drawn into confirm Tanyao, and now it's going to be Tanyao Pinfudora too. So I wonder, does Eric consider reaching this here? Yes, he does. So the benefit to reaching this here is that if Eric sumos this, he's in first place. And if he roams this and gets an Uradora off, and this is assuming that Pio does not deal in. Pio does draw the deal in tile on the Apatsu. But if Eric roams this and gets Uradora, I think with the Honba, Eric will get it's one Honba, correct? Or is it none?
One Honba, yeah.
One Honba? Okay. So it'd be 12,000 point or what 12,000 points to add Eric's scores, 47-8, and then plus the Honba and the Riichi stick he'd get back. Yeah. So Eric wins this, will go into first place if he wins this as a Hanuman, which is either with Sumo or Ron Ura. Or Ron Haite, or sorry, Ron Hote for some reason, but you know, that's always an option.
Quincy having a really difficult decision here with this 5-pin.
Yeah, this is not an easy choice to make. Does decide to push, yeah, because everyone's kind of sitting here with like a fairly reasonable hand to fight with and very little information. Even Pio, I think you can really justify pushing even from first place with a hand this good. I'd be shocked if we don't see Pio throw the 2-pin into the mix if he draws Tenpai. Quincy pushing the 5-mon. I think that was already that had already come out. Yeah. Julian's hand is just kind of unfortunately found itself falling apart because there's just just hasn't been able to draw the tiles it needs. Where are these 4-7? So let's take stock. All right, so Julian's got 2. One's the door indicator. Pio's got 1, so that's 4 right there. And Quincy's got a 4th, and Eric has Quincy's got a 5th, and Eric has a 6th. And I don't see any that were discarded, so there should be 2 tiles for Eric to win on. But I think we might see Pio try to fight. We might see Quincy try to fight. It really just kind of depends on what the draws do. Oh,
Lucky.
Oh, sorry, that
Unlucky
was
for
4-7 Mon. What am I saying? Absolutely brutal. It does not look like Eric got the Urador though, so it's going to leave him just short of Pio's score. Yeah, that's an absolutely tragic one. I don't know how I got 4-7 so is the weight there, but you know, semantics. The players knew what they were waiting on. That's why they're playing, and I'm sitting here.
Although this does mean any smaller hand does put Eric into first place, maintaining the Triad's dominance over this league so far.
Oh yeah. But even the second is really just like maintaining dominance, because that's going to be like by far the most like, even though like even if PO wins this game, Eric, by winning the first game and with more points, is going to have a significant, like, a not like significantly, but still like higher score than PO got total, because PO got third in that first game. And this is a very strong second place showing, even if you don't convert it into the first place. Let's see. So Eric needs at least 3 Han here to overtake. He is 39 or 3,600 points down, correct? Basic mental arithmetic. You'd think it would be
Yes,
something.
3,600.
You'd think that'd be something I'd be better at, playing a lot of Mahjong. But like, if I can't click the thing in the middle, is like, I don't know. I'm bad. But this hand certainly looks like it will be. Yeah, it's already Mangani shot 10. Huh. Eric, please don't. Someone else have a turn. PO's hand also looks like it could come together quickly. And it's actually, is PO Ishanten? PO is Ishanten. Alright, so Eric and PO are both just flow monsters. Got it. Julian trying to make anything happen. Actually has a really nice looking hand as well. Has the Akadora, has easy acceptance from the 2-pin, which he does draw. And now just has a really wide Ishanten, or Rian Shanten. PO's not Tenpai, but now can open the hand on anything, choosing how he wants to discard. Yep, goes for 6-pin. I think I'm a little bit more partial to 7-pin, because you can chi yourself to Tenpai then if you get, because if you play 7-pin there, you can chi 3 or 6-pin and get Tenpai, which I think is pretty worth it. Whereas now you can only chi 6 or 8 mon, whereas before you had 6 mon, 8 mon, 3-pin, and 6-pin.
Meanwhile, Quincy's hand is lacking behind the others just a little bit, unfortunately.
So I feel like there's always got to be one, right? Like, someone's got a bad hand.
Yeah.
Eric hasn't quite found his Tenpai yet. But if he draws the 1-pin, which there's only one of available for him to draw, but can even get Dama Mangan, which would just be absolutely disgusting. Right, the 5-8 pin is not very easy for Eric to find for that final shape.
Try the 3-pin now.
Yeah, 3-pin
Well,
draw.
2-pin cut.
Yeah,
eventually.
3-pin draw is really interesting, because now you can get Sananko as well. Or you can even like try to go for like Suanko or Toy Toy, but I think Eric is probably going to prioritize winning the game over trying to dream of a fancy hand. Not gonna lie, I expected that to be like 2-pin or something. I don't think there is one to draw though. No, there is not. There is 9 to draw, I believe. One's been discarded. Yes, there is 9 to draw. Alright, PO's just been drawing and discarding, but him and Eric are both in very nice.
He did pick up the 3-so though, putting him 1 step closer.
Yeah.
Eric just draws the 1 pin.
Oh, there's the Dama. Alright, so here's the Dama. It's Ipeko Dora 3, so it's a manga. Waiting on 5-8 pin, which honestly, it seems like Julian will definitely discard the 8-pin. Kyo may discard the 8-pin. Just kind of depends on how he feels. And Quincy, I don't think will discard 5 or 8-pin, but could possibly discard the 5-pin. Though that the only 5-pin left is actually no, there is no 5-pin to draw, so I think Quincy's safe. And that's gonna be the Riichi. Yeah, I like this Riichi a lot from Julian. You don't even need to open it. Like, it's a little bit, I think, too fancy. Because it's Riichi Tanya Outdoor too. So like, this is a very like, you've got Mangan, you still got Hanuman outs. Kyo immediately plays Genbutsu. Knows that he can just fold the first place. He doesn't have to be afraid. He's not the dealer. There's no sumo that can knock him below. When you're Julian here, like, it's a bad situation. You just kind of have to. Oh my god, no, Eric, Eric, so rigged, man. All right, Well, good games, all the players. The big winner tonight is definitely Eric. Pio coming in with two plus 50K first. I think that is an absolutely massive score. I think that's probably like plus 120 to his team total or something. Uh, Looks like they're discussing what went on in his hand and how absolutely terrible Quincy's hand is in general.
Yeah.
Pio gonna come in at a small plus. His second place was more positive than his third place was negative. And Quinn and Julian able to salvage a little bit of this game with getting second place last game, but it's still gonna hurt a lot. So I think this game is like what, like minus four, like minus 75, something like that. He only picked up like a plus 10 to plus 15 to counterbalance it last game. And then Quincy also had a really rough go of it. Certainly a better second game, but that first game was just absolutely brutal for very little reason.
This does reassert the Triad's dominance, as we have mentioned before, but puts the Yakumen and Destroyers a little bit down, and possibly giving the Emperor Penguins a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, definitely like a nice boost for the Emperor Penguins. It's like, a small plus is still plus. You're always happy. Sometimes you just run into a flow monster and that's just the way it is. But but that does in fact wrap it up for us here tonight. That is the last game that'll be played. How what are your thoughts on tonight?
Um, I believe these are some of the last players to have to play their first game tonight. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the players and the not the new format, the format where the teams get to decide who's going instead of
Ah, yes,
having
yes, I
every
see.
player have to play, because every player, I believe, has played all of their games so far
Yep.
after this one.
Okay.
Maybe one or two teams I'm forgetting,
Yeah.
but
Personally, I had a great time. Really appreciate you helping me out here tonight. This is a little bit helped by me knowing three of the four players super well, or well, two of the four players very well, and Julian in some capacity. I've met him a few times in my trips to New York City. But hopefully, I will find my way back to the commentator table at some point, and maybe get to commentate some players that I haven't met from New York City, since there have been so many new ones. But anyway, my name has been Max, sometimes known as Life Pink Yoshi,
I'm Wes.
and we appreciate you guys listening to us tonight. Have a good night, everyone.